The podcast on Haunted Hill will contain spoilers and swearing.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
Please help us, Michael. Be one of us.
I didn't tell you my name.
Hang up.
I didn't tell them my name.
They're all a part of it. They're all parts of it.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Hello and welcome to the podcast on Haunted Hill, episode 159. My name is Gav.
And my name is Dan.
And we are old school.
Yeah.
How are you all? I hope everybody is safe, happy and well in this crazy world. And you've been sitting watching lots of films. And films is what you love. And that's why you're here, because Dan and I love films.
Indeed. And if you're in England, you've probably been watching the football and the politics. But we're not going to talk about neither of those on this episode, because we're here to talk about horror films. How are you, Gav?
Indeed. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I'm not too bad. Life stuff. Got to move because the landlord wants this place as Airbnb.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So just working out life shit at the moment, and it gave me 9 days of insomnia. But, ladies and gentlemen, last night I broke it, so it was good.
You broke his sleepiness finally. Oh, you broke the sleep cycle. Sorry, I thought you meant you broke you. And
how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I have not been sleeping much either, but that's because of my children.
Yeah.
So such is life. But luckily, you and I love coffee. And you mentioned life shit. Do you want to just fill in our listeners on your smelly situation currently?
Well, I've got some candles going currently. Just lit the candles because I couldn't find a joss stick holder. The dog shit in the house last night. Oh, in the flat. In the bathroom on my gran's rug, which I used to lie on as a kid, watching In the Company of Wolves with my gran, you know.
It's shit on the grandma's rug.
On that, so I clean it, and you can't really clean it because it's like really old school big sheep pole thing. It probably just fall to bits. So it's, you know, I just kept it for memory's sake, so I've cleaned it the best I can. It has loads of stuff on that. There's stains on there from the fake blood from the Shadow of Death. It's now got remnants of beans and shit. Then he also shit in Daisy's bedroom, and then I cleaned it all, and I can't understand it, so I cleaned the carpets, and I put the rug in a washing machine, and I just don't understand it, and I left it, and then I came to turn the computer on to do this podcast for you, lovely people, and your ear holes. And what happens?
Well, just to set the scene, as Skype opened up, all I could see was a topless man. He looked naked to me because I couldn't see the bottom half of him on all fours on the floor. And I was like, well, everything all right? And you're like, dog shit under the desk.
I found out the dog is shit all under the desk, but also like on my lead for the power for the Mac, the iMac. So that's I'm gonna have to try and scrub that off at some point. It's not like I could just throw it away. I don't know, you know. Then I ran the wheel from the chair that I'm in over it, so it all went into the wheel, so I had to use a cloth in one hand and a cloth in the other to scoop out and clean and anti-back everything. And it still smells, so yeah, and obviously I have to like soundproof the room, so I've got candles.
Yeah. You got candles.
That's my thing with shit.
Nice.
I hope everybody else is enjoying themselves and not eating any food right now.
Well, in local news... actually, before I talk about what's going on locally,
crazy though. Yeah.
Before I talk about that, let's tell everybody what we're doing this episode, because it's a special episode as I remove the patron pick crown from its box and give this to our patron, our king patron of the episode, Mr. Don Collier. It's a patron pick. Mr. Don Collier has selected two delights for our eyeballs.
Yeah.
Now, Don is a found footage fanatic. He does his own podcast, Found Footage with Donnie Darko. I've talked about it before. Check it out. It's a good little podcast. Mainly, only like 99% of what he covers is found footage. That's his bag, baby, as Austin Powers would say. And one of the movies he selected for us is a found footage movie, which we haven't discussed. Obviously, we haven't discussed it because we're going to discuss it tonight. I'm really excited to talk about it. I'm surprised we haven't ever talked about it. And it's a Spanish movie from 2007. And Gav, it's called
Rec.
Rec. Yeah, really excited to talk about that one. There's a lot of sequels. We'll touch on those as well. And there's a remake, which I know you've watched recently, Gav.
I watched it after just to compare, actually.
Yeah. And the other movie was a first-time watch for me. And that is Ty West's X from 2022, a relatively new film, which I'd never seen. Gav had seen once before.
Sort of cinema.
Yeah, he saw it at cinema. And it's now part of a trilogy, which I've actually watched the second one, Pearl, which I can again touch on when we get to X, the X part of the podcast. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. So Don, you are the king for this episode. You wear the crown proudly, and you've sent in a fantastic email, which we'll get to, and I'll read out in 3 parts, as I always do, to introduce the films and also just to introduce yourself in a moment. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. X and Rec, or Rec and X. Either way, it sounds like a Transformer.
Isn't it Rec and Effects, or Effects and Rec?
Rex and Effect is like a rap R&B rap group from the 90s.
So yeah, you got that.
Yeah. Well, in local news, my city, Bristol, is in the news sadly at the moment because
I saw this just like an hour before we were recording.
No, normally we're in the news because the Bristol crocodile is spotted. Now there is apparently a crocodile lurking around the rivers of Bristol, which I myself took a photo of once. I saw something suspicious, couldn't tell what it was, but it looked like the end of the nose of a crocodile. And there's been several sightings over the last 5 or 6 years, but this isn't anything to do with that. This is to do with the fact that in Bristol we have the Bristol Suspension Bridge, which sadly a lot of people do take their lives from every year. But aside from that, some suitcases were found near it at the old abandoned zoo. This sounds like the start of a horror film. There's an old zoo, Bristol Zoo, very old, shut down now, and they've moved it out of the city. But the site is still there. And they found
just empty cages. Have you seen any urbex type folk on YouTube? Go check it out at all.
No, not yet. No, maybe I should look at that.
Oh, that'd be really interesting. An empty zoo, got creepy as fuck.
But they found 2 suitcases only in the last 24 hours nearby, and these suitcases contained human remains.
Yeah.
So
someone was looking very shifty, apparently.
Yeah, a man got a taxi up to this part of the city very late at night with 2 suitcases and has dumped them. So there is a manhunt currently in my city for this gentleman. The pictures of him have been released, and there's a helicopter going overhead. I saw it earlier today. But then we always have a helicopter going over Bristol. I always think of Cypress Hill, pigs in the sky, whatever it is. But yes,
or I think Ice Cube Ghetto Bird.
There's that one too. Either way, duck down. But yeah, that's a crazy bit of news. I'm not proud of it, of course, but it's a bit scary that there's a man on the loose in my city who
chopping up bodies,
chopping up people and putting them in suitcases.
Yeah.
In other news, before we talk about what we've been watching and stuff, Shelley Duvall. Hours before we recorded, the news dropped that sadly Shelley Duvall has passed away. Yeah. Not a huge scream queen, but she was obviously very well known for her role in The Shining.
It's just that one role. I only really know her for that one role. I think she's in Popeye.
Not sure if she was in. She was in Popeye.
That's all I know that, but I've only seen her for Shining. But I think that one role itself is just pinnacle in horror. Like very much still images. The treating of her from Stanley Kubrick, or supposedly her performance in that movie, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't do much after The Shining because of that. Her mental health suffered terribly. She was in Annie Hall, very famously with Woody Allen, but did a few bits and bobs. But yeah, we know her mainly from The Shining. Sadly passed away in her sleep due to complications linked to diabetes. She did make her comeback last year in a film, I think it was. But just wanted to acknowledge that, because whenever a horror icon passes, we generally will acknowledge it.
Yeah, I think she was in an indie horror movie which they're crowdfunding. I think I saw someone crowdfunding for a movie and she was going to be in it. That
amazing.
Must be it. I don't know
mean,
what happened to that though.
Arguably, The Shining, as genius as it is, arguably, yes, okay, Jack Nicholson is part of that reason, but without her, without Wendy and that character and the way she plays it, and I know it's all for behind the scenes and Kubrick's treatment of her, but she really does make that film what it is as well. It's hard to watch kind of now when you really know.
Yeah, because I said supposedly, but I don't need to say supposedly because I thought back and I was like, oh yeah, there's that video behind the scenes footage of the way he's talking to her. Yeah, but there we go. Shelley Duvall, rest in peace. I might try and watch The Shining. I haven't seen it for many years, so I might try and watch that over the next few days if I can. I will introduce Charlie to it because they've been saying to me for a long time, and I said, well, I feel like you need to be older because you'll be bored, but I think they're 17 now. I think fine. We
covered it years ago when we teamed up with the boys from the podcast Under the Stairs, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did a long time ago. I had a lot of fun with that one because I think we got stuck on the blowjob bear scene for quite a while.
Probably.
Famous little scene. But there's a lot in that film to take apart and look at. So
I was going to say,
there we go.
Fright Fest lineup came out today as well.
Oh, tell me. I don't know why I got really camped then.
No, I don't really know. But I did notice the last voyage of Thingamajiggy, that
Demeter.
one. Yeah, that's playing there on the Saturday, which is strange.
Funny enough, I was talking to our buddy RJ McCready about that movie, and we were saying it kind of didn't really come out properly. Maybe this is its chance.
They might be having a release maybe soon.
And they might even chuck it in the cinemas again, because I know it was limited release, and then it went to streaming.
I didn't mind the movie. It's all right. It's nothing amazing, but it's all right.
I'll definitely check it out because I'm a big fan of the director.
Yeah.
Well, talking of watching things, Gavin, what have you been watching?
I thought you'd say me like I'd zoned out or something, Gavin. No, what?
Talking of watching things, there's someone behind you watching you.
I have been watching things. You go first. Let me have a little think.
Okie dokie. Okie dokie karaoke. So I've been on a bit of a Netflix documentary kick. Don't know why. Just happens sometimes, and I'll whiz through these, but I've watched a couple of good documentaries. I've watched a 4-part documentary called Encounters, which came out last year. I don't know if you've seen this. It's about alien/UFO encounters from around the world, very famous ones. And then they really dissect them, because each episode is about 45 minutes to an hour. They really dissect them. What's really interesting is they link a lot of it to folklore and fairies. And particularly there's a sighting in Wales, I believe in the 60s. Very famous. It was on TV, etc. Lots of school kids saw a UFO. And they link it in with, if you really break it down, there's a lot of ancient fairy folklore that links in with aliens. And I just find it all very fascinating. It's on Netflix. It's called Encounters. It's 4 parts, about an hour each. It's not going to blow your mind, but it's just really interesting to sit and watch these people talk about it, because it's all real, real stuff. So that was the first documentary. I'll just rattle through these other quick ones. I watched a documentary called Muscles and Mayhem, which is all about the American Gladiators TV show. Obviously, we got the Gladiators over here.
Why did you watch that?
Because it was so fascinating. It was late 80s to the early 90s. There was a lot of cocaine, a lot of steroids, and it was just interesting to see how they started making this program. They didn't even have any health insurance. They didn't even have a first aid kit, and they literally built that program from the ground up, and it was just fun. I really enjoyed it. Another one to throw you, I watched a documentary on TLC called TLC Forever. Obviously Lisa Left Eye Lopez has passed away now, and they're back on tour, just the two of them, and that was really interesting. And you forget that, whether you love them or not, they had some absolute bangers, Gav, didn't they?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Waterfalls,
Waterfalls, some of them Creep. There's some great ones as well. I watched a documentary on Wham.
Are you sure you're not gay?
No, called Wham, which is great because it's actually the narration is by mainly Andrew Ridgeley, but a little bit of George Michael as well, and it's all to do with scrapbooks. Andrew Ridgeley's mum kept a scrapbook from the day they got signed. Okay. She's got over 50 scrapbooks, so it's really interesting. And the last one I was going to
say, George Michael's very incredible, talented musician in his own right. Like,
he wrote Wake Me Up Before You Go. He wrote and produced and did all of that, and he's pretty much in his bedroom at 21 or 22 years old.
Yeah, no, he just had a thing for music.
Club Tropicana. I have so much respect for it.
Solo stuff, Faith, things like that.
Incredible. I always knew he was a good singer. I didn't realise he wrote so much of the stuff as well and had such a hand in it. He just didn't have the confidence.
Yeah.
Andrew Ridgeley gave him the confidence, and Andrew Ridgeley came up with all the costumes and their look.
That's sometimes you need that. You need like two people, back and forth, like you and I, sir.
What I came away from it was,
who's George Michael in this dynamic though?
Me?
It would be you, because I'm the background kind of tech problem person, aren't I?
And what I came away from it was that Andrew Ridgeley is probably the biggest George Michael fan, which is really sweet considering they're best friends.
Yeah.
He will always be his biggest fan and believed in him the most.
What was his biggest single? Cottagin, was that it?
No. I don't think it was that, but he did. Famously, he came out because he was cool doing that. And the last documentary I watched before we pass over to you
God,
was...
it smells of shit in here. Go on.
It wasn't that one, but I have seen that. It's good. Was Remembering Gene Wilder on Netflix, which is a really sweet documentary. And again, it's narrated by Gene Wilder again.
I'll check it out, because obviously Willy Wonka and Young Frankenstein and Haunted Honeymoon.
Everything. He does. It's all on there. There's movies on there. There's a movie he did with Harrison Ford, which I can't remember the name of now, when they were cowboys. He was a Jewish cowboy, and Harrison Ford was like not cast in Star Wars yet, but he looks great as a cowboy. But then I tell you what, you will need a handkerchief towards the end, because it gets teary, obviously, as his health deteriorates and stuff. And it's Mel Brooks all the way through it. He's still alive, obviously, and he's been interviewed all the way through it. They interview Richard Pryor's daughter all the way through it as well. Fondly remembering such a great man, Gene Wilder. And we did cover Gene Wilder. We did a Gene Wilder special not long after he passed away many, many years ago, where we covered Haunted Honeymoon and Young Frankenstein, two fantastic films, especially Young Frankenstein. So yeah, documentaries.
You remember when he set himself on fire? Not Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor.
Yeah, freebasing.
Crazy fool. Well, I watched The Dark Half. Never seen that before.
Oh, yes, that's good. What do you think?
I randomly was on Facebook Marketplace. I'm trying to get off social media, but some things are quite handy. The Marketplace is quite good for finding things. And someone was just giving out DVDs. Do you want some DVDs? So I had a look at them, and I was on my way passing their road. And they had Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3.
Fantastic.
Bumblebee.
Yes.
And this movie, Dark Half.
Well, this is fate, really, apart from The Dark Half, because I recently told you to watch Bumblebee with your son.
And I need to watch Poltergeist.
And our next episode, we're covering 2 and 3.
It was just really weird. It just happened perfectly. Anyway, I watched Dark Half. It started off okay in that. I kind of just... with Stephen King, I do find he's got great premise and idea, but it lingers and then
it's
kind
always
of goes
it's
a bit
to do
flat.
with the director. It depends who directs it and does the script writing and stuff, doesn't it?
That's George Romero. But George Romero said that he wanted to just make his film Stephen King's, not George Romero. He didn't want to make a George Romero film. So it's just really flat and just like, there's a couple of nice scenes. There's a couple of shots which are really nicely coloured, but it is a bit boring. I did enjoy Death Wish 2.
Is that the one with the bazooka, or is that Death Wish 3?
That's 3, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember the Death Wish movies. I remember the first one a bit.
I quite enjoyed it. I recommend it.
They're really trashy, but they're good fun, aren't
they? I would say we could do 1, 2, 3, and 4 as an episode.
In the UK here, we've got Channel 5, and then you've got 5 US. Yeah. And 5 US always shows things like Death Wish, the Dirty Harry movies, stuff like that, like really gritty 60s, 70s, 80s movies. And it's always on. One of them is always on there on a weekend. So
it was good. It had well, let me tell you very quickly. Architect Paul Kersey, that's obviously Death Wish, once again becomes a vigilante when he tries to find the 5 street punks who murdered his daughter and housekeeper, this time on the dark streets of Los Angeles. And there's, again, Michael Winner and rape scenes again.
Does like that.
But one of the punks, who's a rapist in it, was, oh, for God's sake, Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh dear.
And his acting is the worst acting I've almost seen. not even just for him, in general. It's so bad. It's literally
Wow.
like he doesn't know how to act. It's literally like it's like a kid's thing, and you say, "Can you act? I can act, yeah." And it's just like, what the fuck?
Because he was in, was it one of the Friday the 13th movies? Was his first movie? No, one of the Freddy movies as a
Oh yeah,
a
he was in
nurse.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But he can act in that absolutely fine. So
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if it was Michael Winner just being like, "You guys just be punk." I don't know.
Maybe he didn't feel comfortable with the rape scene or something.
I don't know. It's like his fine, but
Wow.
I don't mean that in a weird way. I also checked out, which I haven't seen it for years, is Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer.
I've only seen it once. I remember having fun with it, but I've never gone back to it.
I'd probably say that would be if we had another movie which was a
I know
kind
what
of
you're gonna
fun
say.
American type monstery comedy movie.
What about Tucker and Dale?
Yeah, that'd pair up pretty well with that. Yeah.
That would be a fun episode. Tucker and Dale and Jack Brooks.
Yeah, because Jack Brooks was just kind of fun. Also,
Is it hold up all right? Is it fun then? Is it?
yeah, it's great. Really good effects. Yeah, it's fine. It's shot
It's a
really
bit
well.
of a
It's
love.
made
I remember
well.
it being. Am I right in thinking it's a bit of a love letter to horror as well?
Yeah, I'd say so. Robert Englund's the main character in
Yeah.
it as well. It's a decent movie for just kind of a film that kind of no one ever speaks of, or you never ever see it anywhere.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't mind going back to it. So that might be a good one to add to our list then.
I would say so.
Because I've wanted to talk about Tucker and Dale for a long time.
It would go Tucker and Dale. They're both kind of summary movies as well, I'd say so.
Okay.
Also, Black Sheep.
Fantastic film, and we will be covering that for a New Zealand special at some point.
And that has great Weta effects, you know, the Lord of the Rings fellas. Yeah, really, really good.
Very funny, but also very scary because it makes you realise that fucking sheep are actually quite scary. In fact, animals like that. And Gav, we've got a bit of a story like that, haven't we? Do you remember on my stag do when we were waiting? We were out in the middle of nowhere in the country in
I've
a
got
big
it on.
cottage.
I've got it on video somewhere.
You filmed it on your phone, and there was all those cows that had just gathered around the entrance to our sort of bit of land that we were renting for the weekend, and they were all just staring at us, and we were all looking. There was like 8 or 9 of us, and we were all like, "What's going on here?" And then you or somebody stomped their foot, and all the cows went. Ooh.
Yeah, it was me.
It's really scary.
I kind of knew it was going to happen, and I didn't. I just went oh like that. Just I don't know. It wasn't me trying to be cruel to the animals. I don't know. It's just oh like that. See what happened. It's spur of the moment, and in unison, a wall just went. Vroom. It's like what the hell?
Because a cow is a big animal.
But they
I
all
wouldn't
moved
want to
at
fuck with
once,
a cow.
and yeah, it's just like.
It must be like an
weird.
animal instinct, like to protect themselves.
Of course, yeah, it is, yeah. And they're the exact same creature. So they're made exactly the same, very simple as well. So it's just a natural thing for them. It's live or die, isn't it, for them? Eat or die, and make the occasional cow sex. Must be
Thing
hard
about-
to have sex with a cow.
Thing
You
is
just can
about
roll off,
cows-
really, aren't you? You can't really get a grip.
Thing about cows, Gav, is they really look after each other.
They do.
See what I did there? You're ignoring it.
I'm not ignoring it. It's fine.
Oh, I won't milk it anymore. Right. And what else have you watched?
That's it, really. I did do a Hammer movie. I can't remember which one it was now. I think it was a Hammer movie, or maybe it wasn't actually. It was a Peter Cushing film, but can't remember.
Did you want to talk about Quarantine now, or do you want to save that for when we talk about Rec?
No, I can talk about Quarantine now very quickly. I wanted to watch it just for a comparison. Literally watched it the next evening. Sarah and I sort of sat and watched them, and it's interesting. It's hits all the same beats. It's like exact same beats.
Yeah.
Like not like they've taken the script and worked off it. They've watched a movie and gone, okay, at this point here we need that person to reveal that. Then behind them, the character's going to fall down and hit the floor. It's the exact same beats, but it's a really more. It's an Americanized version. It's a bigger, louder, bloodier, faster film, and I think it works absolutely fine. I like some of the actors in it. The dude from Hostel, and there's another guy in it I like. I thought it was actually all right. It's a different type of film. I imagine it's like the original Universal Dracula and the Spanish Dracula, which they filmed in the same place in the daytime and the evening. Do you know what I mean? It's the exact same movie, like exactly. Geography is exactly the same, character-wise, story-wise, beats, but it's done with more intensity, and It's fine, except towards the end, the last 20 minutes, the camera is it's over the top. It's like the camera's zooming in and out while it's moving fast. And there's no. Your camera's not going to be zooming in and out. There's no reason for that to happen. Just pull it out so we can see what's happening. But unfortunately, it suffers from 2008 sort of a thing of having to move the camera really fast and hectic. And they hadn't really perfected the found footage style, which the best way, I think, is to show what's happening. You know?
I remember enjoying it, but I would always go back to Wreck if I'm going to watch one of those films. And Quarantine 2... not as good again, and I just feel like if I'm going to watch those films, I'm going to watch Wreck. It's the same with, and I know you prefer the remake, but the same with Let the Right One In, because these European films, the Spanish or whatever they are, they always do really well, and then they get remade. Well, there was a phase of getting remade, but only a couple of years later, wasn't there? You know, surprised they haven't remade something like, although I suppose it wouldn't really work, but Rare Export and stuff like that. You know, these horror movies do really well, and then I couldn't believe they remade Let the Right One In, but they did. And you kind of preferred the remake, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it was all right. I think there was a bit of a time, wasn't there, when American remakes were coming out fairly quickly. There's like
same with The Ring and The Grudge, you know.
Yeah, and there's that one I've got, which I've got both of them, where it's the shot all in one take film.
Oh yeah,
I've got both of them in there. They keep meaning to watch them.
Something House? Is it the Something House?
The Silent House or something like that.
Yeah, that's something like that. Yeah,
Silent House. And because I actually said to you, maybe we should cover both of those two films, but that's silly because they're the same film.
Talking about the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and obviously it's for a business perspective. That's why they do it. And then if they could buy the rights, and they know it's gonna, if the right actor and the right director you get hired, they know they're going to make money from him.
I was thinking about this the other day.
If it's already blown up as well, that's what gets their traction.
Yeah. Well, they figure, no one's going to watch this that speaks English, so we'll remake it. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking, this is a weird comparison, so bear with me. Vanilla Ice, when he came out with his first record, Ice Ice Baby, and they changed one note so that he didn't get sued by Queen, although he ended up having to pay royalties. You know, so it was ding, 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 ding. It's the same with the Psycho remake. If we just put a wanking scene in it, then it's going to be slightly different to the original.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Vanilla Ice is a wanker.
I know. I forget about that with Vince Vaughn. I forget that he's in that movie. I forget that movie exists, actually. Because it's like, why would you watch that movie?
Yeah. Well, and the Poltergeist remake. What a weird, shitty remake.
Especially Psycho, because it is shot for shot, and that was Gus Van Sant's thing. He was like, it's going to be shot from shot. Like, yeah, but why bother? Apart from wanking.
Well, the last film I wanted to talk about is not horror related, but it's certainly one that we're fans of, and that is the new Beverly Hills Cop film, which hit Netflix this week in the UK and probably worldwide, and it's called Beverly Hills Cop Axel F.
I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I won't spoil it, obviously, because it's only just come out.
What I reckon I'm going to get me like a takeout pizza and shit, do you know what I mean?
Listen, Gav. It's getting 50-50 reviews online, and that's because newer people are coming to it.
Yeah,
and
it's got a new generation of people.
They're expecting a level of John Wick or Bad Boys type action.
Yeah. I'm not bothered. I'm going to be happy anyway.
It's the best thing about it is that he slips back into the Axel Foley costume. You know, I don't mean like the clothes. I mean the character perfectly. Like he's never been away from it. He's 62 and he doesn't fucking look a day over 40, the bastard. You've got all the original cast back. You know, Taggart. You've got Billy, and Paul Reiser's in it as well. You've even got Serge and
Aquil.
Yeah, he's in it, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I'm a big fan of, is
he's
in it.
a detective in it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's dating, used to date Axel's daughter.
Okay.
So there's a bit of a thing there, and it's funny, and there's some Cobra. For anyone who doesn't know, the original Beverly Hills Cop was originally written for Stallone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Stallone took parts of it and made Cobra. So there's two Stallone references at the beginning. There's also a very...
Please say Aquel is cutting pizza with scissors.
He's not, no, sadly. But there is a knife in it, a Rambo knife, and there's a reference to Airwolf in it. If you listen carefully during a helicopter scene, the music changes slightly. The soundtrack is incredible all the way through, and there's a Wesley Snipes reference as well, where he pretends to be Wesley Snipes. So it's a lot of fun in it. It's Eddie Murphy blagging his way into posh people's houses to get the information while he's on the case. That's all you need. The action's okay. It's got some good chases in it, but if you go back and watch the originals, they weren't mind blowing. They were just fun, stories, rides. That was it. And this does all of that. It's much better than 3, and it's probably as good as 2. Maybe a little bit not as good as 2, because 2's old and got that nostalgia. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I think you will enjoy it. They're now talking about, get this, I think I might have sent this to you, because it's doing so well. They are talking about how can we splice the next Axel Foley movie with the Bad Boys franchise.
No.
And Rush Hour.
No,
they want to build a universe of Rush Hour. So Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker, Axel Foley, and Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. I was talking to my dad about this. I said, "What else? Martin Riggs and
what is it? The Expendables."
The Expendables, just loads of old detectives.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Have you ever seen a movie? I've got it on DVD. It's not something you'd see anywhere, actually. I've never seen it on telly or anything. Called Murder by Death.
Yes, I have seen it. I borrowed it from you, I think.
Ah, okay, yeah. That's where you get like all the detectives, don't you, all together?
Yeah.
And actually, like Columbo's there, and there's amazing people on there. Yeah, very good.
But yeah, I'd love to know what you think when you've seen it. Do settle in for a takeaway, and
that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have myself a little pie. I'm going to crank up the volume.
As soon as the opening scene kicks in, and they've got, I think it's "Everybody's Doing the Neutron Dance." It's one of the songs from the original's first 2 movies. The soundtrack is littered with them.
As soon as you just you're like,
I'm
back
here.
In. Yeah.
Exactly. As soon as it came on, I was like, I'm here.
I've got to admit, I gave away my box set DVD trilogy of Beverly Hills Cop recently to charity shop, like literally last week.
All 4 of them are on Netflix, obviously.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I've seen them many, many times. The last time I actually watched, I said, "Sarah, do you want to check them out?" We actually watched them on the internet. Didn't watch my DVD collection. So, and I also gave away some more Eddie Murphy movies because I did Raw and Trading Places and stuff. It's like they're good movies, but I just don't have the room.
You know what? I think we could get away with covering the first 2 because they are quite gritty and.
What, Beverly Hills?
Yeah, I think that could be a fun one to do someday.
I would say do Beverly Hills, then do maybe another film in that sort of ballpark. That'd be like a fun summer 80s cop thing, just for a laugh. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Well, here we are. It's our patron pick, Gav. So before we take a break with the trailer,
I'm just sitting here holding it because I couldn't find the joystick holder, so I'm just sitting here holding the joystick.
I'm watching him now. It's like watching a weird ritual unfold. I'll
fucking hypnotise myself.
You guys, if only this was a visual podcast. So, as always...
I've also got air fresheners plugged into the wall as well.
Brilliant.
I'm doing this for you guys, by the way, because we could cancel.
What, the whole show, just because your dog shot under the desk?
Yeah. I'm going to cancel my dog.
Is done.
That doesn't mean I'm going to kill my dog, people.
Jesus
I love Beans.
His dog's called Beans. He's not just declaring his love of beans.
I love beans.
Fucking beans. My
normal conversation. I love beans, and then just carry on the conversation.
My son does that. He doesn't do it as much anymore, but we went for a phase of shouting out, I love goats. He'd just go out to people, I love goats. That was his thing. He would tell everybody because he loves fucking goats. Not fucking goats. That's weird. Let me rephrase it. Wow. He loves goats. He fucking loves goats. That's the best right there. But anyway, look, Don Collier's here. He's sent in a fantastic email, giving us a bit of a story and also his reasons for the films. But what I'll do is, Don, I will start by reading out your intro and outro to the email, as I do with everybody, and then I will read out your bits about your blurbs, as we call it, about the movies when we get to that movie. So I'll just do your intro and outro.
It's very well organised here. We're like a really slick machine, aren't we? Well oiled.
I am, yes, indeed. No, we both are. Wham over here. George Michael and Angie originally.
We'll be Wim.
Will be. No, I can't think of another good one. You win with that one. Okay, so here we go. He says, Dan and Gav. I like this. Starts with, good morning, gentlemen.
Depends what time of day it is, I suppose. Yes, good morning.
He says, I'm honoured to have the opportunity to present you guys with a couple of movies to discuss, and I really appreciate it. I so much enjoyed the episode on Hereditary and Poltergeist, which was his last pick last time, which was a fun episode. And actually, Don, you'll be pleased to know.
Doing Poltergeist 2 and 3, so that's good.
Yeah, on the next episode. He says, I'm really glad to hear you're covering Poltergeist. Oh, there we go. Poltergeist 2 and 3 in the near future on the very next episode, Don. He says, I'm a big fan of part 2 for sure. I also really want to thank both of you for continuing to share your lives and being as open and honest and real, even if it's dog shit, with the stories that you share about the topics you disclose with all of us. The fact that you're always being yourselves and being genuine is what makes the podcast matter, and it may come easy to you guys, but it's rare and a special thing, and I know personally it matters. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah. I haven't gone into everything that's going on at the moment, but it hasn't been brilliant, so there you go.
Let's not go into it all. He says, Dan, I also really appreciate your support of my silly little podcast. It's not silly, dude. As I've told you, I listen to every episode when it comes out. He says, I'm a complete amateur and I do not know what I'm doing, but it is therapeutic in its own way, and it blows me away that anyone at all listens to it, let alone yourself. So thanks again. And just on a side note, we always talk about this, Don. If we're ever feeling a bit down, 2-3 hours of recording with my friend Gav here, and we both feel fantastic.
Literally before we got on, I said I haven't been in a great place recently, and just mine's been a lot of things going on, so it's been scrambling a bit, so it's made me a bit unhappy. So I said I'm hoping this get me, because I was podcasting with Sarah the other day, and I don't feel like I was there completely with recording, but I think this one is good. So yes, we were just speaking of that earlier. Not to hijack the note.
No, it's fine. So he says, so thanks again. And he says, my last episode was a bit of a manic raving at times, but I'm planning to record again soon if I can figure out the new format. I'm not technically proficient, to say the least, lol. And I just want to talk about movies and life, because why the hell not? Exactly, Don. That's exactly what we do. I won't read out any more of his email until the outro now. So his little last paragraph, because he gives a little blurb about each movie. So I'll skip to the end, as they say, in Spaced. He says, I wanted to say more, but I'm sure you're glad I didn't. I just get excited discussing horror films with other like-minded fans. Also, quick question. Oh God, Gav's got a fire. Hang on a minute. Gav, can you blow that out? What the fuck have you done? Hang on. Sorry guys, we've got a fire live.
Sorry.
Thank you. He says, quick question. Are you guys on Letterboxd?
I know of the thing, but no, is that like the you can say what movies you're watching and
what you watched, and you review them and give them a rating out of 5, I believe. Clearly neither of us are on it, Don. He says it's one of the few apps I'm active on, and it's fun to see what other people are watching. I love to leave reviews.
Okay,
if you guys are on there, I'd be interested.
I might well do. Yeah. He
gives his username on there, which I won't give out now because might not want us to. He says, but if you're on there, check me out, and if not, maybe look into it. I know you both have a lot going on, but it's just an easy way to log what you watch and see what others are thinking of.
Actually, I might turn my phone on a second, just quickly download the app, because I have this problem. Sarah's like, you can take notes for the next time you podcast when Dan says, what have you been watching? I use my IMDb. I make sure I clock in to check the movie out when I'm watching, then I can go to my history. But that's a better way, so I'm going to download that now.
I use IMDb, and I rate everything I watch, TV and film, on IMDb, and I've got over 7,000 ratings on there because that's how much shit I've watched. But obviously IMDb's been going a long time, so I might look at it too, Dom, but I do use IMDb. I'm old school. But Gav, as we speak, is perhaps downloading the app. So you may have done something to him here. He says, anyway, I'm excited to hear what wonderful thoughts you guys have on these movies. And I'm sure Bill will have some fun stories about being on the set of his own independent films. I'm sure he's been on a few of those sets, haven't you, Bill?
Of course he has.
I'll describe what he's wearing later because it's obscene. I think it's related to our film X that we're covering. He says, Don says maybe even some adult films for Bill. I'm sure Bill has seen some shit. I'm sure he has.
Yeah.
He says, I also hope Gav found a few things to appreciate with X, but if not, I won't hold it against him. I also find myself being more critical of films, especially when I review them. I'm not sure if I just don't have the patience or I'm just not as forgiving as I used to be. Either way, I thank you both again for everything you do and for giving us all a few hours to escape with a couple of friends and fellow travellers. Then he finishes with, stay safe, guys. Talk soon. Your pal, swimming in the jewels-infested waters on the New Jersey shore. Don C, aka Donnie Darko.
Thank you, Don. That's very much appreciated. And yes, me and Dan love all of you very much, and really appreciate you guys to the max. And I know to the max because I'm old school and 80s, and I know I'm not very sociable, and I don't speak very much on the social stuff because words don't work well in my head sometimes. So,
that's demonstrated by that sentence.
Yeah, I know. Audibly, it's not too bad. It's the written. I don't have the patience. I'm terribly ill patiented. But yeah, thank you for that. We really appreciate you even just listening and giving a fuck. Writing all that down, come out of your brain to your fingers, to the app, to us. And Dan read it out, and thank you.
Yeah, I do love the interaction with our patrons, and I must thank Matthew Godley again for suggesting and kickstarting the whole thing. It's great, and it's great. It's great that we're on the second round now, and we're getting a taste of, potentially what our patrons are into. And
I generally, as obviously that makes sense. I'm trying to make proper films. I love film. It's I know it's a bit weird. I always say, I think we're living in a simulation. I don't know. I can't still run away from that thought at times. And film is like these little lives that we could live. We go into them just for a moment as a viewer standing on the street watching. And it's just nice just to encapsulate yourself in the warmth and the comfort of a movie. Yeah,
and then naturally, as we've grown up,
what is your reality at times. So it's just lovely.
But as we've grown up, we've learned about the work that goes into making films, and we appreciate directors, actors, script writers, all of that stuff. So it just grows, doesn't it, as you get older? And we're both approaching the big 5-0 now. And we've been watching films our whole life,
As a kid, I used to watch the Hammer horror movies, and I was just like, I want to do special effects. I didn't know what that meant. I just saw monsters on the screen, so I knew there was someone doing that. And then got into it so much that now as my main sideline, I don't really get paid for it, is making films, and I spend quite a lot of time on Deadbolt Films it's all films. It's making films, and we're making this amazing music video. I'll send you something later at the moment, and it's just so much fun. And I just love the visual medium. Going off on one there, sorry, but Don, thank you.
That's cool. Thank you, Don. Well, we're covering X first, I believe. Is that right? Or Rec? Which one do you want to cover first?
Rec's older, so I was just going to say go Rec.
Okay, we'll go Rec first. So, Don, we're going to switch it.
We generally, sorry, Don, but we generally it makes more sense.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, we'll do Rec first. So,
sometimes the year of the film actually has something to do with the political landscape at the time of that, sometimes to do with the actual film. So I think even though they're not connected in any way, it's good to do them in year, I think, just for that reason.
Great. All right, well, we'll do Rec first then. So we'll take a break. We'll go to the Rec trailer, and when we come back, we'll do a synopsis and Don's reasons and discussion of why he wanted us to cover it, and then we'll get right into that apartment block in Barcelona and be scared out of our fucking minds.
All right, we'll be back soon. Check it out. from 2007. A television reporter and cameraman follow emergency workers into a dark apartment building and are quickly locked inside with something terrifying.
Fantastic. And it's a very short run time, isn't it?
Yeah, hour and 18 minutes with a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
Well, let's get into Don's reasons for this and his little blurb about it, and then we will wreck it, as they say. Wreck it. I'm going to wreck it.
Watch us wreck the mic. And we are podcasting, wrecking on the mic.
Yeah,
Kind of
boy.
something.
You can't take us away from hip hop. Okay, so Don says, now for Wreck. When this came out in 2007, it immediately claimed a spot on my top 5 found footage movies. Very good choice, Don. Very good choice.
I don't think we say PJ Duncan's hip hop though.
No. You're talking about for anyone who doesn't know, PJ and Duncan were a very crap pop band in the 90s who tried to do rap. Sorry about that, Don.
Sorry, it's my mind, Don.
Top 5
you must know my mind by now.
Top 5 found footage movies of all time. I have to preface by saying please watch the original Spanish Wreck, not the awful American remake of the film called Quarantine. Wreck is such a better film and does all the things I want my found footage films to do. I love the setting and the wonderful build-up as we meet the entertainment reporter Manuela Velasco and see her and her cameraman as they prepare for a segment of their Up All Night TV series. Up All Night, that sounds like a phrase they might say in X as well. It's great. He didn't say that. I just added that. It's great. It's a great setup where we meet believable characters who, besides our reporter, are not comfortable on camera and for the most feel how I would think most people would really act in this situation. They look at the camera, they try to impress the host, they say awkward things. It's perfect. It's great when the person filming is an actual cameraman because it explains why we get really well filmed shots and why the camera is always rolling. I agree with that on a side note, Don, because that's the thing about found footage movies. There's got to be a reason to be filming. And this is a very good reason for filming, you know. They're doing a news report, as it were. A real cameraman would constantly film these things and would want to keep the horror that's going on separate from the reality of the situation. I also love the fact that they are trapped and we know different levels will present different problems and horrors. The kills are amazing and one jump scare when the body falls gets me every time. The thing that puts this one on a higher level is the backstory and the hints of a mystery that we get to follow with our characters. Once we get to the penthouse, we have no idea where the story is going to go. But spoiler, I love the idea of an evil that is spreading like a disease, but also has a religious and spiritual aspect to it. It could have set up such a wonderful series of films. And Wreck 2 is worth watching, but 3 and 4, not so much.
I forgot about all those.
Yeah. 2 is good.
I can't remember it. 3 was the wedding?
Awful. No, actually, 3's not bad. 4 is awful. 4's on the oil rig, I think. I can't remember now. He says it is unfortunate regarding the sequels. Finally, though, he says...
Very quickly, do you think Wreck 2, 3 and 4 would exist if it wasn't for Quarantine?
I'm not sure.
I need to check out the years before I state something like that. You carry on. Sorry, Don.
He says, finally, that ending and that creature are amazing. I love the night vision sequence and the sounds and images we see and we don't see. And we then see the tall, lanky creature that looks just like something from a nightmare. Bravo. Well done, Wreck. It has just enough of the horror aspects to make it creepy and enough found footage to make it feel real and possible. And that's what he says about Wreck.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, I agree with a lot of that, or pretty much all of it, Don. It feels like it's been done a million times now. Go on, Gab's nodding.
Yeah, it's like a year later they did the American, and then a year after that, Wreck 2. So I would say that actually would have helped influence backers for the movie, knowing that there was Quarantine come out and made a thing. Admittedly, Wreck by itself was a hit, but I imagine if for 2, 3 and 4 it must be because of American. Well, maybe not. Discuss.
Well, I agree with you, Dom, in that this, it's been done, it feels like it's been done a million times since, but this was probably one of the first sort of news report found footage horror movies, really, 2007,
It's a good reason with found footage, obviously. Why are you filming? So it's a great reason.
And spoiler here from my feelings on this film, this definitely is probably in my top 5, maybe even top 3 found footage films. Particularly for scariness, the Blair Witch would always probably be my number 1 because I don't know why, it's not even that scary, but just the whole thing around it does get to me. But this is definitely up there, and it's on the same level in that it feels so realistic to the point that you could show this to somebody who didn't know anything about it and tell them, I'm watching this documentary, and they would watch it unfold. And on a very quick tangent, there is a documentary similar to this, a real one, about a news crew that decides they're going to follow one of New York's firefighters' crews, and guess what date they do it on? 9/11. And it's a real documentary. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Gav. And I wish I could remember the name of it now, but they basically follow this crew. They get the call that one of the towers is on fire, and then obviously the next part, and then the plane, and it all follows through. And one of the last shots in the documentary, it's almost like it's fake, because one of the guys that they've been following and they got the name of and they're friends with, who's helped them, the crew, they see him they think he's dead, and then they see him walk out of the smoke and the debris right at the end, and it's like they must have thought, this is gold. I know it's a terrible tragedy, but they must have thought, this is gold. And it's a great documentary. So it's weird that life imitated art almost years later. This film is almost too intense for me. It's not often I say that, but it's a bit fucking intense at times. Do you know what I mean?
I think you should come around mine, put on my PlayStation VR headset, because you can
I'd shit myself.
It's not 3D, but like you watch it in like a cinema screen at your eyeballs. Do you know what I mean?
I'd be shitting under your desk, not your dog.
Yeah, it's a really good film. It's in the found footage realms and genre, because I'm a massive fan of the I'm making a new one now. In the realms of that, it's a really good one. It does it well. It's got some great beats that go on, and it's a short movie. It goes by pretty quickly. It's funny that the American one zips by quicker somehow. I think it just gets bigger and louder. But this one's great. Yeah.
And it's it takes itself really seriously, but not in a poncy kind of like, it takes itself seriously in that it just feels very real. Like Don said, it feels gritty, it feels real. It's just a very amateurish TV show called Up All Night, and they're going to follow these firefighters in Barcelona. What could possibly go wrong?
And it's a late night like show as well, 'cause it's live.
Yeah. So it's all happening at very early hours of the morning.
I would imagine the people in charge of locking the building down would have cut that live feed very quickly.
Well, it wasn't live. I think that it was just being recorded, wasn't it? But
I thought it was live, or maybe
no.
Is Quarantine then live?
Maybe. I think one of the rec ones might be live, but this one is all being recorded. But she says we have to keep reporting on it because it's important for people to understand what's going on.
It's not live, because you got the part which is in both films, where in this one it's like not done in many found footage films, where generally it does it how it does it in Quarantine, where it says let me do a replay on that. The person that wants to watch the camera, which we're watching, and then all of a sudden in the American one, which you normally do, is you cut to afterwards. Yeah, it's just a small gap. But with this one, you have the actual it being rewound.
Yeah, really
plays,
good,
and then forwards is up, so it doesn't record over the stuff that we've seen, and plays, which is like really weird and fucking meta. And then you don't see that in the found footage genre very often.
Works really well.
Yes,
really,
it was interesting.
I guess the other thing, really, before we get into it, is it's just fucking original. Do you know what I mean? It's just a really original film.
In still the early days, because obviously 2000, 1999, we got the Blair Witch thing, which actually listened to a very interesting conversation, which everybody can listen to for free. Actually, the Movie Crypt podcast did a round table about the Blair Witch product, and it's the two main actors saying how badly that they got nothing really for it. They eventually got 300,000 over the course of 5 years. With like loads of money off for taxes, 40% off for fees and stuff like that. And they got treated really badly, and the movie made like 250 million, I think it was. And
similarly, in this one, they wanted to use fairly unheard of actors so that people wouldn't be attached. You know, if it was a big Spanish film star, you wouldn't really be into it, would you? You know, so
it's good. It being a non-English speaking subtitle film, and it caught on. It's always good for, I think, those films to open up for people who do not like to do subtitles. I've got to admit, found footage and subtitles though is and can be sometimes a bit of an issue. Because you do need to be watching quite often a lot because of the camera movements. It's quite hard to keep a focus point and then read subtitle and back. Where are we? Because it moves so quick.
And the Spanish language is incredibly fast as well, isn't it? They speak very quickly. But that adds to me the intensity, and that's why I love world cinema, because to watch something like the Godzilla movie -1, you know, to watch something in its own language, you get that emotion from that culture. And to me, the reason why that adds to this, obviously it's a very intense situation. They're trapped in a building with zombies or whatever they are, demonic possessed things, and on top of that, you know, they're rattling away their Spanish language, and everybody's screaming at everybody and running, and the found footage and the demons and the zombies, and it just adds it, and you just feel like really like, what's going on? The first time I saw this, I was like, fucking hell.
This, like, I'd like to think we get to a point with like AI where we could probably go VR anything we want, and you could probably become like with found footage actually be there.
What you want to? I do not want to go into this Barcelona apartment.
Actually, be there in the camera as eyes. That would be really cool and scary as shit.
It's got some great scenes in this, some great set pieces, and as Don said, some great kills as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it
then. Okay, yeah. So we meet Angela, who is the reporter, as we mentioned a couple of times, and she does the While You Sleep or While You're Asleep show, where I guess she goes to different, you know, businesses, security guards, fire departments, whatever, and, you know, while everybody's asleep in Barcelona, these are the people that are up all night working, and this time they're going to the Barcelona Fire Department, and we get your usual found footage stuff. She interviews the chief of the fire department, and he's showing off all the equipment, you know, and is it Pablo is her
main
cameraman?
I don't know.
It's just her and Pablo. So it's just two of them. You know, we haven't got an elaborate, like, there was three of them in the Blair Witch. It's just two of them in this one. But we do, like, meet a cop and a fireman that are kind of become, like, heroes as well. And, yeah, we just kind of get eased into the situation. She says, you know, can we come on a call with you? And he was like, yeah, if we get a call, yeah, we can bring you along. You know, it probably won't be much at this time of night. Barcelona is a very peaceful city. That's fine, not a problem. She gets shown around the fire department. Couldn't stop thinking about Ghostbusters for some reason, you know, especially when she shows off the pole, which you went down a fireman's pole recently. There you go. That sounds like a euphemism. You went down a fireman's pole recently. There you go.
Which really interestingly, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but that place where we had our meeting, which we're going to have our meetings, it's called Public Enemy, and it's like this place where they do up cars, and it's a really cool little place. And I think I spoke of it before, but MGM are there tomorrow because they might be making a TV show there. Just filming it because they just do really cool car restorations, I think.
Is Exhibit going to be there?
I have no idea.
Pimp my ride, baby. Pimp my ride. So Angela gets introduced to Manu and Alex, two firefighters who are basically going to be looking after her. They're kind of probably thinking, oh, we have to babysit this like woman and her cameraman, but whatever, you know, we might be on TV. That's fine. And they get mic'd up They don't have GoPros because there was no GoPros back then. I guess if this was made now, the cameraman and the fireman would all have GoPros on, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But then it would be too confusing, and
you've got that one with Jake Gyllenhaal found footage movie.
Fucking great film. Where he's a cop. Last Shift, not Last Shift.
No, it's found footage.
Yeah. It's great.
Last Watch, or something.
That's it, Last Watch. Yeah, I knew it was Last something. That's a really good film, actually. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a great actor. She actually says, Angela says to them, well, I really hope the alarm goes off. And they're like, well, we don't. Because we don't come to work and hope to have to go and rescue people, but so she's walking around the fire station and she's explaining, when the alarm goes off, they can be ready in 3 minutes because their boots are in their trousers and all that kind of
she's
stuff.
A bit bored as well, isn't she?
She is. She's walking around. Oh, here's the dining room. They're all asleep in there right now. Shh, don't wake them up. But Gav, what does happen is the alarm goes off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They're all playing basketball, and she looks around like, "What's that noise?" And they're like, "What's the alarm?" And the voice, the sort of loudspeaker, saying, "There's a person trapped in an apartment building. There's a person trapped in an apartment building. Please go and get ready now." So they all run off and.
Oh, bless them. At this point, they just think it's a routine job.
Yep.
And they don't know there's going to be zombies involved.
They just think it's a stepmother who's trapped in a washing machine.
They have no idea that they're about to be into the zombie. They can be zombies.
They're going to get eaten.
No idea. They can get eaten and turn in. They don't know that they're about on their shift tonight. They're going to turn into zombies.
Zombie firemen.
And the last meal that they're having, sitting there eating in the mess hall, is the only thing which is not going to be human.
Yep. Well, they arrive at the scene at the apartment block, and there's a lot of activity. There's loads of police there already. All the residents have been evacuated from their apartments.
And as soon as they see, obviously, the police there, they're a bit like, oh, this is a bit more serious. It's a bit like, obviously, something that's a bit more than normal.
And Angela's thinking, because she's a bit like, what's her name from the Blair Witch, isn't she? Why can't I remember her name? The lady in the Blair Witch, what's her name?
Can't remember.
Shit, Heather. She's like, oh, this is great. This is going to make. I thought we were just going on a routine, but there's police here, so something extra's happened. So she starts speaking to all the residents. Why are you all gathered here? Well, we've been evacuated. One of the ladies says, I heard lots of screams coming from one of the, crazy screams coming from one of the apartments in this building. And we called the police, and they've called the fire brigade, and yeah, we don't know if someone's trapped, but we're all here. And we meet them all. There's like a Japanese family, an older couple. There's a very strange guy called Caesar, I think his name is. He looks very odd.
Yeah.
He looks like he's wearing a full face of makeup. Very strange man. But like, as in makeup, as in he's a burns victim and he's got a fake face on. I don't know what it is. It's hard to describe, but you know what I mean. So Angela's like, this is great. Let's talk to everybody. So yeah, all chatting to people. Then the cops are like, what's that camera doing here? The usual thing. And they're like, oh, don't worry about them. They're with us. We're the fire brigade. We've said they can come with us. And he's like, okay, but if I say turn it off, you turn it off because, we don't know what.
It's like the only way you're going to get, I suppose, them or an ambulance crew. It's the only way you're going to get permission to police. Or I don't know. It's a very touchy thing for the police, because if something goes wrong, obviously, and death's involved with the police, they could obviously shoot someone or whatever. If it goes wrong, probably don't want a camera crew on them. Yeah. So I don't know how much you could get away from this, but I guess I don't know. It'd be a problem, I think. But anyway, for the purpose of the film.
There's a good little scene here where so a couple of the firemen, a couple of the policemen, and Angela and her cameraman, they all head upstairs to this apartment where the door is locked and they've heard the screaming. And she turns to the camera and sort of says, right, Joe, just to explain what's happening. We've heard screaming. Before she can really get into it, they break the door down and it scares the shit out of her because she's got her back to the door and they use a huge mallet to smash the door in. And then she realizes, oh, actually, this is serious,
Yeah,
they've had to break the door in with this giant mallet, and that mallet comes back later on on the stairwell. So they walk into the apartment, and they can see down a very dark, very lovely shot, very dark corridor. There's a woman stood at the end.
And this is beat for beat in Quarantine as well.
She said, "Ma'am, are you okay?
Yeah.
Is everything okay?" And they're like, "What's happening here? Why isn't she?" And they're like, "All right, turn the camera off. Turn the camera off." So they pretend to turn the camera off. This is something that we get a lot in found footage films. It's off now. It's not recording. I promise.
Yeah, of course. And as a camera person myself, if any chance you can, you document it, you film it. It's just the way it is. I have that from my skateboarding filming from back in the day as a kid. Film it.
Because growing up, I used to watch all those skateboard videos, not yours, but the skateboard videos of just people crushing their nuts on railings and smashing their ankles up. And back before the internet was that was like the first thing on the internet I used to watch, really.
Yeah, slamming.
But that's how I accidentally watched the beheading. Somebody tricked me, and the link that I thought was going to take me to loads of skateboard fails was actually a man being beheaded. And I was like, why the fuck am I watching this?
No, I wouldn't want to see that. Didn't
sleep very well that night.
No.
There we go.
Bring the episode down. God.
Sorry. Well, back to the naked old lady covered in blood. So she screams at them. She's covered in blood, like I say, and they say, right, we need to call an ambulance because this is serious. She then attacks them. She bites one of the cops. Really great. Always love when you get to see the meat being ripped off the throat. Do you know what I mean? Always love to see. I'm doing the acting.
Nice big bit of latex being stretched like mozzarella.
Yeah. Tasty. Very gory. And I would say, actually, great practical effects all the way through this. You know, it doesn't need to be because it's all found footage and very shaky cam. Some of it is in the dark, but they went the full hog, you know, and it looks great.
Yeah.
So they run away from this woman. I think they lock the door again and they carry the cop downstairs who's been bitten. The lights go off for a bit and then they come back on and they're like, oh my God, he's bleeding to death. And obviously all the residents are now very upset because it's like midnight, 1 a.m. They've been evacuated and now they've got a cop with his throat ripped out on their lobby floor. They're all very upset. And then the building, they try to get out, but the building is locked, Gav. What's going on here? The building's been locked from the outside and they hear a loudspeaker.
I'll tell you what, I bet this was really fun to write as a script. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
why don't they leave the building?
Next thing, like, what would be the worst thing that could happen? They can get a building. Why can't they get a building? Building's been locked down. Do you know what I mean? It'd be really nice to write.
And I'll jump ahead, but also when the sheets go down as well.
Yeah, that as well.
Around the building,
like double.
You guys
fucked lockdown.
Yeah, double fuck. The name of my new album, Double Fuck.
I thought you then said the name of my auntie. I don't know why I thought that.
My auntie, Double Fuck. She was a porn star.
I was gonna say I don't want to know why she's called Double Fuck.
We'll come more to that in World of the Strange. So the building is locked down from the outside, and the loudspeaker says, so it's the local government saying, right, everybody stay calm. Listen, we're going to try and get you out, but we can't get you out yet. So just listen for more instruction. So at this point, they're just like, what? Why are we locked in? We've got someone in here who's dying. We need an ambulance. Yeah. And this is where Angela says, I've got to keep taping this because they're treating us really badly, and we need to show, you know, what's going on here. The cops are getting shit from the residents. You know, why can't you let us out? You're cops. The one of the firemen says, "What's this next door?" Because there's a grating. It's a textile shop that joins onto the apartment block. Well, we can break into that, and I can try and get out that way. Okay, yeah, okay. You try and do that then. Meanwhile, another fireman shows up in a very unexpected way, Gav.
He does, doesn't he?
I think his name's Alex. And this scene does the same thing to me. I know it's coming every time. I've seen this about 5 times now. And the same in Dog Soldiers. I always know that cow is going to land on the fire when they're having that little chat around the campfire on Dog Soldiers. But it still makes me jump. And the same with this one. I think Don said it makes him jump every time as well. Yes, the other fireman gets thrown off the top of the stairwell all the way down, probably about 4 or 5 flights. Splat.
And again, quarantine, exact same bit, exact same camera positioning, exact same staircase, geography, everything. But yes, great introduction. And we hear lots of screaming from upstairs. Shit has hit the fan, essentially. Your dog shit under your desk has been picked up, Gav, and thrown directly at a fan. It's not good.
How's it smelling in there at the moment?
Well, I was doing all right until you said that. I'm going to get the thing going again.
The joss stick.
Yeah.
Gav's burning a joss stick.
I have to hold it though and wave it around while we talk.
What I love about our interaction with our patrons is when something like this happens, Don never thought his episode would have us talking about, dog shit. But hopefully he appreciates it.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get, really.
He's now picturing you with a big flaming... He's blowing. You can hear him blowing the joss stick there. Like.
Yeah, sorry. Right, cool. Anyway.
There we go. It's lit again. It's lit again. It's like a weird
sparkler or something. Hooray!
It's great. So they go back upstairs to look for whatever's going on up there, find out why this guy was thrown down, and they find a girl who's been injured and she's screaming. The old woman from earlier is now going fully 28 days later, very feral. She charges them, and one of the cops pulls out his gun and blasts her. And obviously Angela's got this all on film.
Yeah. Gold. Television gold.
She is shocked, though, because it's gone from a sledgehammer breaking a door down to...
It's gone from board at the fire station.
Yeah, it's gone from, this is where they sleep, to, oh, we've just seen someone murdered.
Yeah.
And, well, 2 people murdered.
Death.
3.
We've seen death.
A man's had his throat ripped out, another man splattered off the top of the floor, and now we've got a woman been shot. An old naked woman covered in blood has been shot. So she's pretty shocked, but they would decide we need to go back downstairs and regroup and figure out what the fuck is going on. And this is the rewind and rewatch moment we talked about. Don't think I've seen it in many found footage films, if at all. I can't really think of it. Rewind, let's rewatch it. Okay, now we know what happened. She was very feral. Looked like she was trying to bite him or did bite them. We can't really tell.
Yeah. We'd get introduced to a woman now whose daughter happens to be ill with the flu, doesn't she? A fever.
Tonsillitis, Gav. She's just got tonsillitis.
She's just a little girl. Leave her alone.
She keeps saying she needs her antibiotics. We need to get out of here. And they're like, all right, I know you're worried about her, but...
I tell you what, first I watched this, not knowing what was going to happen. Spoiler, obviously, do watch this film if you haven't seen it. I quite enjoyed just that thrown in there. It actually made it more of a, I didn't think of that any more than that for some reason. I just thought that, that's us to give our sympathy for, which is a deeper thing for this film, another layer, give us sympathy for this young girl that needs to, and she's going to get more and more ill. Because that could have been a beat in this, a thing in this, do you know what I mean?
Well, it's a really well-written film because they start threading all these plots, when they bring the dog in as well.
It is very good, throwing all this together. And like I said, hour and 18 minutes is snappy as well.
They pack it in there. Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin.
Like George Michael.
What did he do? Pack it in there? He did. So they break into that textile shop next door and try and find an exit. He did. They try and find an exit, but they cannot get out. All the exits are blocked. And again, the loudspeaker says, "You are sealed in. Please do not attempt to leave. We can possibly shoot you. We have to wait for the health inspector to arrive. So stay back." And this is where the sheets are dropped.
Yeah, they got no phone signal and all that still as well. So it'd be quite scary, wouldn't it? Really. Do you know what I mean? That's like that. Remember how everyone's kind of a bit scared of COVID?
Yeah.
When it was lockdown, there was a lot of people, not some of your listeners maybe like I wasn't at all, and a lot of people were not, but there was a lot of people for the first time ever scared of, on a worldwide scale, a fear of humanity and what the future was, because it was an unknown source at the time. Imagine that, but this confined in there, and if you've got professionals saying you're not coming out, and then all of a sudden there's no phone signal, you've got no internet, there's no way of getting in or out, and then all of a sudden these things been put down the front, but anxiety would be over the roof. And
what makes it worse is you've got this person saying, "Stay there, a health inspector's on the way," and he doesn't tell you any more than that. And you're like, well, what does that mean? Yeah,
and the best thing is, though, if this wasn't actually a government thing and just government being dicks or something, obviously this is something they've got to contain. They're doing what's meant for mankind, womankind, humankind, do you know what I mean? I don't even know where I was going with it.
I know what you mean. No, it's just a scary. It's a very real situation.
It is. Imagine that's a situation that you would just, be full on.
Yeah, watching this after the pandemic.
I was thinking about
a bit harder.
pandemic. Yeah, I was with this. Yeah.
This is one of the few I didn't watch, actually, because I know we were all a bit sick and twisted, but during the pandemic, I watched 28 Days Later. In fact, we covered both the movies during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And everybody watched all those films. I never watched this. I didn't think to watch it.
First time I watched that Mark Wahlberg End Night movie.
Yeah, The Happening.
I'd never seen it.
Come on, bro.
I watched it afterwards and actually watched it. If you throw COVID in there for some reason, so the whole sort of things going on in that, it made it feel not too bad because everyone said it's a ridiculous film. And I watched it and went, after COVID, it has a different look, I'm sure.
I've got a bit of a soft spot for that film. But there we go. Well, they try and communicate through the windows and sheets because they get to the fire exits, but the cops pull guns on them on the other side, and they say, step back, and they're like, look, we've got a girl in here who's really ill. We've got 2 dead people and another guy who's bleeding out through his throat. And they're just like, tough luck. Just stay back.
And that would scare you more, wouldn't it? And this is what I was going to say, sorry. It's great for them, the government. They've got a couple of people in there who are on their payroll.
Yeah.
So they could say to everyone else, just listen to the professionals you have in there. And they're just outside laughing, going, this is brilliant, because we're giving those guys, like, the keys to the building and saying, you guys are in charge. And they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to step up to this. It's quite important. And I've got to do my job. It works very well. And they can't really communicate.
And this is where Angela says, look, due to the gravity of the situation...
Sorry, very quickly, they walkies work, do they?
Yeah, but they're short range, aren't they, I think?
That's how they get their information back and forwards in and out, aren't they?
I can't remember now. I don't think so.
Not sure. Go on.
But this is where Angela now kind of convinces everybody, the gravity of the situation is... we are being treated really badly, and this is a scary situation, and it's really important that I document this, because she's thinking I'm going to win loads of prizes, but also she's a lot of reporters genuinely love reporting and documenting these crazy things. She's fucking loving it. So
honestly, I'd be the same.
So everyone's just like, as long as we all survive, you can film my arsehole if you want, love. Maybe not that, but...
I'll tell you a reason. There's a reason why I DJ, and there's a reason why I stand behind the camera. I used to quite a lot. Not so much. Oh, no, I still do, actually, yeah. Not necessarily my camera anymore, though. Is because it's a kind of escapism. You're looking for a lens, especially with that. Well, DJing's different, but you're kind of segregated, but you're still a part, and a main part. And it's quite interesting for the camera person to be like, I've got to document this as well. That's a whole thing in itself. Just to watch this whole thing through a camera, essentially. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Like an unboxing video on YouTube.
I suppose. But interesting for the camera person. We never seem to think of the camera person themselves. It must be wild. Because we know they're not going to die. Unless the camera gets passed to someone else, which does happen. But generally, we know that person's going to be right because that's our way of watching.
Yeah, our safety net. Our safety net.
Yeah, essentially.
Well, for a film that is super intense, it knows it because we now get a little breather where everybody gets into a little quiet space and the audience can catch their breath. They can catch their breath. Angela updates to the camera and says, this is what's going on. It's 2 a.m. right now. We're locked in. We're treating the wounded. Some of the wounded are being treated. And I put in brackets in my notes, are they turning? Because I know from multiple viewings that this is a disease that's passed on. It's a zombie-type, demon-type disease. So we know that they're turning and, So she starts asking some of the residents, I was
going to say, also for the camera person and her, it's a bit of escapism from what's going on for them to go, like, we've got to focus on this. Yeah. So, exactly. Yeah, they start asking all the residents, and everybody gives their take on it. They've all got their ideas about who's in what apartment, and they do seem calmish. They don't seem too panicked. I'd be fairly panicked.
Well, one of the people they interview says, I think this is just mass hysteria. I don't know. And they speak to the old people who are incredibly racist because they say, well, I think is it Caesar they speak to who's incredibly racist, and he says, oh, I blame the Japanese because they eat funny food and they eat raw sushi.
He means like the people, not just the nation and country.
He means the people in the apartment. Yeah. And there's an empty apartment, which is the penthouse, which we find out more about later. And there's an old couple that have lived there their whole life. There's the woman with the kid who's ill. There's a couple of people living there. And she goes and speaks to the sick girl called Jennifer. And her mum interrupts her. And she says, look, when I'm talking to her, you can't interrupt because I'm documenting this. I'll interview you after. So it's all quite realistic, because you would interrupt if your kid was being, oh, no, that's not what happened, is it, Jennifer? No. Let her answer in her own words.
Yeah. It is very realistically done.
And she talks about her dog, Max, who's at the vet's because he's sick. Ooh. And that's kind of like not really thought about, but cleverly comes back in later on. Really cleverly, actually, comes back in later on. Then the interview, yes, Caesar, who's weird, he blames it on he actually says, I think they're Chinese or Japanese or something. He doesn't really care. He's just being slightly racist. I'll say slightly, very racist. They then interview the Japanese people, the mum, who says, yeah, it's me and my husband here, but my elderly father is still in our apartment and he's very unwell. And they're like, whoa, hang on. There's somebody else. You've got somebody else up there as well.
And they're really unwell. What's wrong? Oh, sort of fevery flu type job, Right. Okay.
Great. This is great. So there's an extra sick person in the building now, which now sort of makes everybody a little bit more worried. And we can see the silhouettes through the sheets of the government outside. And
they're getting prepared for a health inspector to come in and take some samples.
Now, if you were trapped in this situation, the last thing you want to see is a man donning a full hazmat suit.
Oh.
This is where I get really like, oh, God, it's not good, is it? It's like the crazies when they get the hazmat suits on. It's just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, so this fella comes in and he just goes to speak to the professionals, obviously, and they go off. And we've got the vet guy who's like their doctor, really, for the situation in the building, this guy who's a vet.
Yeah, that's right.
He's with the patients, keeping them stable, but they obviously need a proper attention. It won't last. And so they go into a room, lock themselves away, push the camera crew out. You're not coming in here. It's a cop, fireman, health guy, and vet, and victims.
Yeah, and they put the camera down for a little bit here while they sort of do whatever, and Jennifer sort of plays around with the camera lens, and then we hear some candid conversation just discussing, is it infection? Do you think it's contagious? We don't know. So Angela starts snooping around, and this is where they sneak up to the room where the professionals, as you say, Gab, are, and the injured people. And her and Pablo are filming, and she's like, oh my God, what's going on? He's like, shh, come on. And this is where they're like becoming like James Bond spies now, because they see some shit. Because what they do is they handcuff these injured people, and they're like, why are they handcuffing them?
Yeah, because obviously we know
half
why.
dead.
Yeah.
And then they pull out this gigantic hypodermic needle and they inject him, and I assume he dies.
So they're reanimating him?
No. I think they kill him.
Oh, right.
I think they're trying to just kill him, put him down like a dog, because they don't want him to reanimate.
Right.
And they hear them talking about things like it spreads through saliva. But what is it? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Like, the cop doesn't know why he's injecting this guy or handcuffing these guys. He's just being told what to do by the government, by the health inspector. But yeah, the guy reanimates and attacks them. They lock him in an office. He headbutts the glass and breaks the glass and chases them. And they force the health inspector to tell them what the hell's going on. And he says, all right, okay. We had a dog brought into a vet's, and it had a disease that made it really, like rabies, it made it really aggressive, and it spread through saliva.
Yeah.
So and she's like,
it's rabies.
She says, hang on a minute. Was the dog called Max? And they're like, well, how do you know that? Oh, fuck, it's Jennifer's dog.
It's not good, is it?
Jennifer's fucking dog.
Hang on. Isn't Jennifer, the little girl, ill herself with a fever? Yes, she is. They don't even need to. It's in the same in the quarantine. Don't we even need to go into details? Everyone knows what's going on. So the mum's straight away on the defence.
You've got tonsillitis. She says it's just tonsillitis.
But you would as a parent.
But it's not tonsillitis because Jennifer they go upstairs to speak to her and she fully hulks out on them. And there's creepy little girl, good makeup effects. What's wrong with her eyes?
Yeah, it's really good effects. Yes.
And they mention the Japanese elderly man upstairs, and they're like, we might have to go and check him out as well. We've got to bring everyone downstairs now at this point and make sure that everybody's okay. So everyone's starting to get clued into the fact that there's a disease. It's making people aggressive and bloodthirsty. And we've got to go and get the old Japanese guy down from that upstairs. So the cop, the remaining fireman, Angela and the cameraman all head upstairs. Oh, shit.
Isn't it probably better that he just stays in bed?
Yeah, leave him up there.
Well, they're hoping it's going to soon be sorted out. Going to get an ill person out of bed when it's like, it's not like just the lights have gone out. It's a proper hazardous conditions up there. Health and safety over the top to health and safety to 11. There's zombies, dead people handcuffed to stairs. There's electric going off and flashing everywhere. There's just no lights. There's just health inspectors in there. There's people being bitten. There's dogs, there's children with fevers and flus.
And a racist man called Caesar.
Exactly.
Well, they go
12
upstairs.
days of Christmas.
It does. On the 12th day of Christmas.
And a racist man called Caesar.
They go upstairs. Like you say, it's very dark, barely any light. Great lighting in this. They've got their guns drawn and they find bloody footprints everywhere. And they find the growling girl. They get the needle. Her eyes are black again. She attacks them. She sounds like a cat, the little girl, like a tiger or a panther. And I think they try to inject her, but the old lady that they shot is still alive, and she comes at them as well. And the fireman batters her with like a fire extinguisher. He completely smashes her head in.
Yeah.
But one of them gets bitten by the girl. So they start running, and we get a really... I had to pause it at this point because it's too into... I love horror films, obviously. That's why I've been doing this with you for 10 years. But I found it a bit intense this time around, trying to take the notes. I was like, I need to take a little breather from this because they're running through the corridors.
Did you know?
Yeah, I had a little like... Oof.
Well, I've got to say, listeners, for us, it's not just a found footage film with subtitles we're sort of going against. We're also trying to make notes. So really, to be honest, we should probably done these 2 viewings, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I've seen it.
But I've seen it before, so I know.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of running and panic in the dark, and the health inspector runs back upstairs. Jennifer's mum has been handcuffed to the stairs. They're like, "You got to stay here." They leave her there, which is brilliant because in a minute something terrible happens to her.
Interestingly, in quarantine, the only difference is they handcuff her on the other side, the staircase where it curls round, and it's where she's right there. So you have to go past her with her hand out to get up the stairs. Do you know what I mean? So it's really interesting they put her there rather than on the staircase itself.
Well, the infected people break through and start coming at them, so they all run upstairs and they just leave Jennifer's mum. She's like, "Help me, I'm handcuffed to the stairs," and they just grab her and start biting at her, and I'm just like, that woman downstairs is being eaten alive. This is crazy. And she's probably thinking, we're not getting it on film.
Yeah, probably.
We should be getting that on film. They realise that the health inspector's been bitten. He says, "You've got to stay away from me. Stay away," because he knows what this disease is. So he locks himself in a room. They get further instructions from outside saying, basically, you're all fucked. You might as well just say, guys, you're all fucked. We're going to nuke the building, guys.
It's such a very fast-paced film. That's why I think this review's going through very quickly.
It feels like that.
Yeah.
We are going on a few tangents. So the health inspector grabs someone and through the wall and bites them. And then that just leaves the fireman and Angela and obviously the cameraman left alive.
Yeah.
They have to find the keys which they think might be in one of the apartments upstairs, of course. So we have to go back up the fucking stairs. Oh, shit. The fireman grabs the Japanese guy, the dad, and breaks his neck. And this is where the mum, and Jennifer's mum, who's handcuffed to the stairs, reanimates. And like you just described, Gav, they have to go past her to go up the stairs. And obviously she's quite close to them. It's kind of like in that Scream movie where Ghostface is unconscious in the car and they've got to crawl out the car, you know?
Yeah.
Hate that shit, man. Hate that shit.
Yeah.
But they managed to get up the stairs. Angela says she's worried she's been bitten. But they're like, you haven't been bitten. You're fine. She's like, I don't know. I can't really see very well because of the lights. Pablo, you've got a light on the camera. A big spotlight.
I do feel this movie, these guys could really make the best Resident Evil. I said that before with The Dead, but I think these guys would make a really good Resident Evil film.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's like in one place, they're going around the place looking for things like keys and stuff or whatever.
Yeah, and they don't make it feel boring. You know, although we're running up and down the same flight of stairs, it doesn't feel boring.
Yeah, I'd say this is the closest you'd get to a proper Resident Evil film.
That's true. I think if you were going to do Resident Evil 1, these guys could do it, and then when it goes out into the city, then get the guys from The Dead to do the sequel, where it's a little bit more widespread. Yeah. There you go, guys. If you're listening, you directors out there.
Part 1 and Part 2, yeah.
There you go. Perfect. Yes, Pablo turns the light on, and we see a zombie right in his face, and he's coming up the stairs, and the fireman says to Angela, pass me that mallet. She's like, what, this one that you used to batter down a big thick old Spanish door? Yes. And he grabs the mallet and he caves the person's head in with this giant mallet. They all head upstairs into an apartment looking for the keys. My favourite shot now, where they look down the stairwell and you just get all of these infected look up at them.
Yeah, at the same time, on different levels.
Yeah, and they just start charging up, and that is terrifying.
Yeah,
that is just brilliant.
Yeah.
So they all start running. They go in. They lock the door.
They get into this penthouse, which no one's been at for months and months and months. But
so, spoiler alert: this penthouse, just to jump to what it is, belongs to an agent of the Vatican who hasn't been there for a while. But they don't find this out yet. They start exploring this place, and there's like a laboratory set up in one corner. There's loads of religious stuff everywhere, obviously, because it's someone who works for the Vatican. There's also loads of newspaper clippings about people that have been infected with something, and demonic possessions been reported in the press. And they're like, what the hell's going on? Why is this happening? And like, they're trying to piece it all together. And what I like about this is it doesn't go too far into it. It just gives you a little bit of a tease that this might not just be zombies. It could also be slightly more supernatural as well. That's the thing I didn't like about the sequels is it goes a little bit too into the religious supernatural side of it. Yeah. This just gives you a little bit of sugar coating on top. And I like that because it's just enough to make you think, ooh, okay, that's a bit unsettling. Then, I put here very, very good spooky set design in this penthouse apartment. Really good. And then, of course, they find a reel-to-reel, Gav.
Yep.
What do you do in a horror movie when you find a reel-to-reel in a situation like this? You press play.
Yeah.
And they hear him talking about a disease.
It's all very Evil Dead almost, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? The Kandarian texts. No, he doesn't say that. But they talk about a disease that they tried to cure with a vaccine, but the vaccine mutated the disease. And whatever the demonic possession was is now mutated. So basically, it was like a girl was possessed by the devil or a demon. They tried to vaccinate her. This is my understanding of it, and correct me if I'm wrong. But the vaccine worked with the demon and turned it into a demonic disease, which then got passed on through biting and scratching, like zombies. So it's kind of splicing together science fiction zombies and possession zombies, you know. It's very clever, and I like that, and that's what, it's great stuff. And
it's a shame that that's not known earlier, and it's more looked into. Do they look into that more in the second one? Is it more religious?
Yeah, I think the sequels, or at least one of them, goes more into detail. It kind of ends quite demony, really, with people crawling on the ceilings. I think the second one, which I'm not really into. I don't like my demons crawling on the ceilings, unless it's like an Evil Dead movie or something. Then we get a fucking terrifying scene, which really resonated with me because I've just had my loft converted. So I now have a proper attic or loft with a hatch that you open and you look up into a dark hole before you go up the ladder and turn the light on in there.
But he always loves looking into a dark hole.
Oh, I do. Just going back to George Michael again. And don't raise your eyebrows at me as you drink your lemonade.
A ginger beer.
And they find like a hatch kind of falls open above them. Pablo's like, I'm going to look up there. Angela's like, don't.
No, it makes sense. I was put the camera up there and look around. That makes sense. But it's a bit of a cheap scare. It's done a little bit better than the second one. Quarantine.
It got me the first couple of times I watched it. Not this time, though. I knew it was coming. And there's a kid up there chained up, like a demonic kid who's chained up. And it's the first time you watch it, it will get you, definitely. And the light gets broken on the camera because of that.
Oh, and the light, yeah, that's the light, isn't it? And it goes out.
Pablo's like, I didn't see what it was, but something broke my light.
So
don't worry.
I've got night vision, but that means you're going to have to rely on me telling you what's going on.
So I gotta say, must be influenced by Silence of the Lambs because, it's a great scene and in its own right. But Silence of the Lambs did a fantastic night vision scene as well, where she sort of wandered around towards the end.
Oh yeah, it's great. But I bet this was intense for you.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, because she's like, where is it? He's like, just keep quiet.
Just a real tall, skinny thing with an axe or a pickaxe or something, just wandering around.
And it's it also reminds me a bit of The Descent as well, where one of them can see it and the others don't know what.
There is some night vision in that, isn't there?
That's what I mean. Like when we see that fucking thing at night, when he turns his night vision camera on, and she does in the cave. Sorry. Yeah. So they keep hidden, they keep quiet. Really good sound design, and I do remember the first time I ever watched this was on a laptop with my headphones on. So that always stuck with me. This end scene. You can just hear all this like and all this scraping and Angela sort of whispering like, what is it? Where is it now? And he's like, keep quiet, it's over there. And they're just wandering around. But yeah, only Pablo can see it all. They run because it starts coming at them. The Deadite, because it pretty much looks like a Deadite at the end from Evil Dead, attacks Pablo. We get that classic found footage trope where the camera falls on its side, doesn't move anymore. The only time it stopped moving is because the cameraman's dead. Yep. You mentioned that earlier. And then a brilliant scene at the end, in my opinion, of Angela crawling towards the camera and then she's dragged backwards by something.
Yeah, it is pulled back. Yeah, it's got good.
Good way to end it.
Yeah, it's fine. There's a really good use of the music cutting from a sound on the mic, so it's really muting and going back on at times. It's really nicely done. Makes it sort of more encapsulating, more actually happening, immersive.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, because it goes like the mic's been sort of distorted or something.
Like the high end goes, so it's just really
Yeah, like after an explosion in an action film where Will Smith's like, and then after a while the hearing comes back in.
My wife's name out your mouth.
Oh, Will Smith broke my heart with that. So that's the movie. It's fucking great. Let's be honest.
It's really in the found footage. It's in top 10, I imagine, of all the best found footage films there are.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's probably in my top 5. I agree with Don. Maybe even top 3 for me.
I'd have to make a list one day. So
yeah, me too, actually. But it's
maybe I
definitely
can
up there.
on Letterboxd. I don't know.
There we go. What my gripe with the sequels is, if this was just a one-off standalone film, brilliant, because I don't really need to know any more about this disease or the Vatican. Just the fact they gave me little snippets that this is known by the Vatican, and there's something else out there, you know, like the end of Demons almost, you know, where they break out of the cinema and they realise this is worldwide. You know, it's not just happening in the cinema, but they go into a lot more detail. And the films are fun to a degree, maybe not the fourth one. And yes, there's Quarantine 2, possibly even a third one if I remember rightly, which are all the American remakes. But if you want to see it done well, go and watch Wreck 2007. I mean, it's definitely a thumbs up from me. I know from you as well, Gav.
Yep.
I guess in a nutshell, it's really intense, almost too intense at times. If you want to show someone a really scary found footage film, this is up there.
Yeah, I actually, back in the day when it came out, I had a DVD, I lent it to a guy that I was working with who's not really one to be seen watching horror movies. So I told him, he's like, fucking shit me up. Like, yeah. Yeah,
and it's great. Good stuff. And really wanted to cover this one for a long time. We occasionally do a country special, a special on a particular country. And I was thinking we could go back, because I think we might have done Spain. Tombs of the Blind Dead, they're Spanish, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe do this and High Tension or Switchblade Romance, which is Spanish as well, I think.
With what?
With this. But
with what?
I'm glad with Reg.
Oh, originally. Right, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying Tombs of the Blind Dead. I was like confused. Sorry.
No. But I'm glad to have bumped this up, and I'm glad that one of our patrons picked it, because obviously it means a lot to Don, and it's just a great chance to talk about this film higher up the list. So thank you, Don, for that. Now, Don will be pleased that Bill Murray is currently waving how many inches is that, Bill? 10-inch dildo, swinging it around above him. Okay. Does that mean that World of the Strange is going to get sexy and strange, does it, Bill?
Bill?
Okay. He's saying it's going to relate to our next film, X, which is a film about making pornos. So I think strap in, is that the words to use here? For World of the Strange, I think it's going to get sexy. He's passing me some lube.
Let's get to World of the Strange. Let's get out of here. Come on. Oh, we're not going to have a real stuck here, but the audience don't want to hear this.
Bill.
Here we go.
Hi, welcome back to World of the Strange.
World of the Strange.
Strange.
I don't know why. Okay, what's going on, Dan?
Well, Gav, our next film is about making porn films, dirty movies, stag movies. So, in keeping with that theme, there's two parts to this World of the Strange for this episode. Pleasure and pain. Which would you like first? Would you like pleasure or pain first?
That's weird.
His eyes are glazed. He looks a bit happy about that.
I don't know. Let's go pain.
Okay, we'll do pain first. So, to start with, I'll be just going over a couple of quick stories which are bad things that have happened on the sets of porn films.
Oh, no.
Just 4 stories, maybe.
Okay.
Now, I've not fully read into some of these, and I am going to delete my internet history after this, because this article takes me to pictures from the actual fucking porno that it's from. So, there we go. But the first story, the headline for it is Prince Yashua, who is the name of a porn star, Prince Yashua. Prince Yashua's cock explodes.
Wow.
You ready for this? Ready for this?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'll just read this out as it is. A hard cock may look tough, but they're much more fragile than you realise. While shooting a scene in 2010, Prince Yashua and Bethany Benz tried to position themselves into reverse cowgirl. There was a loud crunch.
Oh.
Bethany quickly hopped off, leaving Prince's now broken penis spraying blood around the set like an 80s horror film.
Oh my god. Oh.
Nearby crew members were covered in the blood as it was sprayed everywhere. He lost half a pint of blood, because obviously when you're erect, all that blood's pumping into you, that part of the body. So he had to be catheterized during his healing period. So he had a catheter in while he recovered. But since then, he's gone on to get his penis back to normal and go on and make hundreds and hundreds of porn films. But that was caught on film, and it's probably, if you wanted to, you could probably find that scene to watch.
Oh, God.
Wow, broken penis.
Hey, that's one of my worst nightmares and fears.
This guy has a particularly long one as well, so easily snapped, I guess. There we go. All right then. Moving on then to April Olsen and her messy first time.
Are we still in pleasure? Pain, sorry.
Pain, yeah, we're still in pain.
Right.
So this is about April Olsen's first anal shoot.
I'm going to take my glasses off for this.
So April Olsen...
I don't like the fact that I can smell, but go on.
First anal shoot was with somebody called Mike Adriano, and she was paired up with another lady as well called Anna Claire. She was only doing blowjobs for that shoot, she thought, but April said, no, it's all right, I'll take it up the arse for this episode, for this scene. So this shoot went on for about 2 hours. So she was getting pounded up the bottom for about 2 hours.
That's quite a long time.
You know, they cut, then they go, right, to go move the camera, and they to carry on, cut. The stamina of these porn stars is staggering, to be honest. But because this has gone on for about 2 hours, and because it was her first anal scene, she ended up constantly shitting on the floor during the 2 hour long shoot. So they'd break, she'd shit all over the floor, then they'd clean her up, and they'd just carry on.
Well, yeah, she was open. But that's just so, like...
April says, thanks to Anna, who was one of my co-stars, I didn't feel embarrassed, because she said, don't worry, it happens to us all during our first date.
I thought she was going to say, don't worry, and just started shitting on the floor as well.
So yeah, that's April.
Oh, God. What happened in May?
There's another one here. A guy called Derek Pierce. Derek Pierce shooting a scene with his partner who was having her period.
Okay.
So she inserted a sea sponge into herself, which is an alternative to a tampon worn by women who are in the porn industry. It absorbs menstrual flow. Whilst in doggy position, Derek was ploughing like a machine until he realised something else was going on down there. He removed his penis and found that the head of his cock had not only just been rubbed raw...
He didn't just remove his penis, he removed it from the lady.
From the lady, but his penis head was almost coming off because of the sea sponge. So it rubbed the end of his penis so hard, and he was being so vigorous.
Hadn't he felt this, though? Was he fucking up high on coke or something? Surely you'd feel that and be like, this hurts for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, I've got one more story, then we'll move on to the pleasure section of this World of the Strange, because this is getting messy. Okay. And Bill is getting really excited about, aren't you, Bill? Yep. Here we go then. The last one is called Casey Calvert lubes up an eyeball with her butt. There's an image here.
Carry on.
Here we go. So anal scenes can be pure chaos behind the camera and on set. I love the way this article is written. Casey Calvert has had her own experience with anal shenanigans, not quite going as planned.
Anal shenanigans.
But it's not what you think. Wasn't that the name of House of Pain's first album? I know, that was Shamrocks and Shenanigans. Okay, so there's many layers to how an anal scene can get messy, but one day while shooting an ordinary anal scene, Gav, things were going as planned, but Casey wanted to switch to reverse cowgirl. She got into position at the right angle, and it was a bit tricky for the other performers, but she got there, and she continued in that position while the still photographer, so they had a still photographer on set as well, watched from the other side of the room. I guess, you've got to make the thumbnails for people to click on. But things took a turn as the cock suddenly popped out of her bottom.
No, it depends when it's filmed, because it's probably photos for a magazine, maybe.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah.
But this was a porn film.
Yeah, you still take photos.
Oh, yeah, 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I didn't think of that already.
Yeah.
Should we get into the porn industry? Not after these stories.
No.
So the penis popped out of her bottom, shall we say, and there was a blood-curdling scream coming from the other end of the room because the lube up her ass had flown out as the cock was pulled out and hit the photographer right in the eye with a handful of butt jelly.
What? So he'd lubed her up, he was inside, then pulled himself out of her, but then there's a lube, was like a big ball of lube.
Yeah, and it flew out of her bottom and hit the photographer on the other side of the room, square in the eye.
How weird is that?
He quit as a porno photographer after that.
Oh, you would.
Never heard from him again in the porn industry.
Yeah.
He probably lost an eye.
Probably got pink eye. Probably got
Imagine that.
Rainbow coloured eye.
Semen, lube, and poop in your eye at the same time.
Oh, God.
There we go.
You should wear goggles. Come on.
Imagine that on the set.
Goggles
Right,
and
get your goggles
raincoat.
on, guys. It's an anal scene. Get your goggles on here.
And your
What is
face
that camera
masks.
like?
What if it got
Get
in his
that-
mouth? He's
I'd
lucky.
get a plastic bag over that camera if I was you, mate. That camera's worth £1,000. So
Must
there we
have been
go.
like a turd or something. I don't understand how it could be a ball of lube. But anyway, let's get on to the
Well,
pleasure.
I think as he pulled out, and the pressure shot it out.
Yeah, but it's still weird.
Maybe she farted at the same time. Anyway, look, let's get to the pleasure side of it. So to wrap things up nicely, keeping with porn, I'm going to just run through a list of porn parody titles, which I think you will really appreciate.
Yes.
I thought you'd like this because we talk about this occasionally. So here we go. Just want your thoughts on these. If you've got any sort of, because there's no synopsis for any of these, so you could just say whatever you want about anything.
Go.
Okay. I love the first one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ass Ventura, crack detective. Isn't
I
that great?
love it.
Ass Ventura, crack detective. What's going on there then? Oh, right. Like a glove. I bet he said like a glove in there somewhere.
And he says, I want to ask you a question.
Brilliant. Tone Loke.
But Tone Loke's probably in it.
The next one.
Yeah.
Dawson's Crack.
Dawson's Crack. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The next one's going quite deep. It's a bit of a cult film. Dr. Buttlove, or it's got the full title, Dr. Buttlove, or How I Learned to Stop Clenching and Love the Plug.
That's so obscure. Someone that is into Doctor Strangelove.
There we go. The next one is a genius one. Drill Bill.
Drill Bill.
Yep. We all know of the next one, Edward Penis Hands.
Always thought it was Edward Dildo Hands.
Edward Penis Hands. Now, Gav, you're going to really love this next one because, firstly, you've seen a porn parody of it. You may have even seen this one. It's called E.T. the Extra Testicle.
No, I've not seen it, and that's amazing.
Not the extraterrestrial, the extra testicle.
But what does that mean? Does that mean E.T. in it has an extra testicle, or
Yeah.
E.T. happens to be your extra testicle?
Oh my God! Can you imagine if you
So
look
you
down
look
there,
down, you got dick, balls, and a small E.T.
a little finger
8-inch
sticking
E.T.
out. Oh, ouch!
What's we going to do now with my finger? I don't know, Mr. E.T.
Well, the next couple are horror movies. So, classic one here. Everyone I Did Last Summer. Another one, quite simple. Evil Head.
Evil Head.
Ferris Bueller Gets Off.
I like it.
Yeah. 51st Orgasms. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Goodwill Humping.
Brilliant.
Forest Hump.
Yep.
Intercourse with a Vampire. Of course, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Laura's Craft Womb Raider.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you like that one? I got a few more of these. Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, of course.
The Booby Guard.
Yep.
Ocean's 11 Inches. Oh dear. Night of the Giving Head.
Oh, brilliant.
That is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Sperminator.
Brilliant.
These are all real porn films.
Yeah, I bet.
A Few Hard Men.
Amazing. Oh, it's a very good movie. Not that one. I don't know about the porn one.
You Can Handle the Dick.
It's probably what he says.
The Bone
Who
Ranger.
plays Jack Nicholson in that, do you reckon?
God knows. Probably Nicolas Cage. The Bone Ranger.
Nice.
Here's another horror one. Village of the Rammed.
That's my favourite.
Cliffbanger.
Okay.
Apparently about a guy called Cliff.
Brilliant.
Breast Side Story.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Beaver.
Saturday Night Fever is good.
Any Given Come Day.
Excellent.
A Clockwork Orgy. Yeah. An Officer and a Gentleman. That is
What
pushing
is
it.
that? What's a gentleman?
Gulp Fiction.
Brilliant.
The Bear Bitch Project.
Should be
That
called
is-
Friction.
Oh, even better. The Bear Bitch Project.
Seen it.
Have you?
Yeah.
Let me guess. They're lost in the woods, so they all bang.
It's softcore. It's not hardcore. Yeah, I watched it once. I was trying to entice a girlfriend into getting some.
There is another one called Pulp Friction.
Hey.
There you go. So you combine them now.
Yeah.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Amazing.
School of Cock.
Brilliant.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Gays.
What is that about?
Gangbangs of New York.
Excellent.
Martin Scorsese's classic. White Men Can't Hump.
I can't imagine Martin Scorsese stand there directing that though, off camera.
No.
White man can't hump. Oh, racist.
Throbbing Hood.
Excellent.
King Dong.
Yep.
Phil Bill.
Ooh, good. Bill.
Yeah.
Good view. Bill Murray's. Bill Murray says
Romancing
no.
the Bone.
Romancing the Bone.
Yeah.
Is that what you say to Alice?
Do you want to romance my bone?
Being at your damn bone.
And that's my list.
Amazing.
Favourite one?
Village of the Rammed. It's excellent.
It is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's unexpected. Mine is for cleverness and sort of just sort of hits you is Night of the Giving Head because it rhymes.
Yeah.
It's very clever. You know what's going on in it.
Yeah.
And there we go. That was porn pleasure and porn pain.
Yeah.
So I think the lessons we've learnt, Bill, are you've got goggles on already. Great. Is wear goggles when you're on a porn set and watch some of these porn parodies and tell us what you think, guys. Bill, have you been in any of those? You were Bill and Phil Bill. Excellent. Gav, you called it.
Yeah.
What did it involve? Oh.
I don't want to know.
Oh. Okay.
That sounds like it'll smell worse than this.
Don, I apologise. Get it off. Gav, can you get him to
Bill, out now.
get out of here?
That's all the time we've got for this week on Worldless. Strange. Next week, though, gimme Ira. Hairless pets. Weird.
Okay, so X, probably the shortest title we've ever reviewed, from 2022, directed by Ty West. In 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in rural Texas in a farm. When their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act, the crew find themselves fighting for their lives. So there we go. I'd not seen this before, but before we get into it, let's listen to what Don says about it. So he says, back to the business at hand. I'm sorry to hear that Gav is not a fan of X. I have to say, that surprised me. This is based on what you said in the last episode, obviously, Gav. I have to say that surprised me, because I'm usually on point with Gav, and we share many sensibilities on films. Not always, but mostly. I always thought as a filmmaker he might appreciate the fact that it was a movie about making an independent film. I love the things like the opening shot with the aspect ratio messing with us a bit, being used as a framing device. I really appreciate these touches. I love the setting, the locations, from the beginning sequence in the strip club to the van ride, the very stereotypical rural Texas lawmen, the wonderful farm in Texas. I recently helped my daughter move from Florida to Texas, and when you get in the middle of nowhere in Texas, you truly realize how completely on your own you are. That must have been pretty sketchy.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's fucking creepy and unforgiving. I love that it's so obviously influenced by Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and much like Mr. Zombie and his films that took place in the same world as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I really appreciate the obvious love shown for one of the greatest horror films ever made. The addition of things like The Evangelist, that is the only thing ever showing on the TV when it's on. The theme of age and how we view the youth versus the elderly, sex, pornography, relationships, etc. The kill scenes were fun, and I thought they were shot and executed, pardon the pun, perfectly, with the right amount of gore and violence. The wonderful van headlight sequence to Don't Fear the Reaper with the red lighting. The pond and the alligator were such a wonderful surprise. The tension of the scene with Maxine swimming and the way the overhead shot waits just a bit too long before showing us what's swimming up behind her and how oblivious she is to the danger that's behind her. Of course, we know an alligator kill is coming, so every scene by the pond has us just waiting for it and builds the anxiety. I also really love the landslide scene, which is obviously the Fleetwood Mac song Landslide. It's such a great conversation and dialogue, and of course such a beautiful song. It really works for me. Just on a side note, that was going to be my first dance at my wedding, Don, that song, Landslide. It's a beautiful song. It was going to actually be the Smashing Pumpkins version of it.
It was Shwaddy Waddy instead, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. No, it was, we actually changed it to Three Little Birds, Bob Marley. Because, not to bring the tone down, but because my mum passed away 6 days before my wedding, we felt that Landslide, beautiful as it is, was a little bit too depressing, really, and we wanted something more upbeat for our first dance, so we chose Three Little Birds. But anyway, I agree, it's a great scene. He says, it's such a great conversation and dialogue and a beautiful song. I think most of the dialogue is really well written and feels real. Just lines like when Pearl says to Maxine, "It will be our secret," and she replies, "What will?" Really great acting, line reading throughout, a very talented cast. I could go on, but we are here to get what you guys think of it, not mine. This is one of my top films of the year it came out. I continue to appreciate it on every rewatch. Also, Pearl is a really interesting film, which is the sequel, for anyone who doesn't know, guys, that pays homage to the Technicolor films of the 50s, like The Wizard of Oz. It also has Mia Goth in it again with an amazing performance. I just saw Maxine, which is the third in the trilogy, and I know Gav hates when they do these, but it is a 3 and done. It's not like John Wick where they're going to keep making them, Gav, don't worry. And I was sadly a bit disappointed with Maxine. All I know about it, Don, is that it's set in the 80s. And it follows on from X. But I will check it out, and I'll explain why later. It has a cool look and pays homage to many great horror tropes, but it gets a bit lost and never really concentrates on the solid script and story. I feel like X and Pearl were both lightning in a bottle that just worked perfectly, and Maxine is definitely definitely worth a watch, even if it gets a bit muddled. So Don really loves this movie. I know a lot of people do. I know Kate and Matt from Eternal Darkness of the Not So Spotless Mind that really love X and Pearl. And I was chatting to Matt a little bit today and Kate a little bit because I've only just seen these two movies, X and Pearl. And they both agree that, you know, X is the better of the two. Pearl's good, but for me, X was much better. And I'm sort of slightly showing my hand here already about what I thought about it. But yeah, I not seen this before. But we'll come to that in a moment. Gav, you'd seen it before, so this was your second watch.
Yeah, I did a cinema viewing to check this out. It came out because I'm a big Ty West fan. I do love The Innkeepers. I do like The Sacrament. I do like The House of the Devil. I particularly like The House of the Devil.
Yeah, me too. Fucking hell, yeah.
The aesthetic of it, it's the tension, the slowness, it's brilliant. So I'm a big fan of Ty West films, not all of them. And then so I was quite excited to go watch this at the cinema. So yes, second viewing for this.
I'd forgotten he'd done The Sacrament,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. That's found footage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going off Ty West. I liked The Sacrament. I really liked, obviously, House of the Devil. I didn't like Innkeepers. I'm one of the few people that doesn't really like Innkeepers. I've watched it about 3 times. You know what I'm like? I like to give films a chance, especially if people like them, like you, someone who I love. If someone who I respect their opinions likes a film, I think, well, maybe I'm just not getting it. I'll watch it again. And that happened with Hereditary, and that was thanks to Don, actually. Again, I watched Hereditary for the 3rd time for his episode last time around, and really got it and really loved it that time around.
Yeah.
But Innkeepers I've seen 3 times, didn't like. I really like...
Innkeepers are quite a go-to for me if I'm just like, I do like Innkeepers because it's so innocent and simple and it's locked down. There's no one else could be there. It's the last time. It's just those two. They're quite simple and innocent, and I just quite like it turning into a spooky thing. I quite like it.
I wish I liked it. I just don't.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy it.
But House of the Devil is for me is, you know, fucking genius. We've covered it, and I like The Nest. He did The Nest, didn't he? I've
never seen it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
I did The Roost. Sorry, is that what you
The
mean?
Roost, sorry. Yeah, not The Nest.
Yeah,
The Roost, sorry.
That's his first. That's his debut.
It's fun.
So, should we get into it?
Yeah, indeed. I'll be from the, I'll say from the off. I really liked this. I didn't know what I was going to think of it, but I purposely didn't know anything about it, other than I've heard Maya Goth was really good in it. I didn't even really know it was fully about making porn films, so I didn't know what to expect really. But I really liked it because it feels like a bit of a throwback, but not in a Rob Zombie kind of way, in a pretty decent kind of way, much like he did with House of the Devil. But I've never seen a horror movie or many horror movies based around adult films, and it's sort of set in the 70s as well. So you've got no mobile phones and all that kind of stuff, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, so we've got Maya Goth. I'll just quickly run through the cast because it's pretty worth mentioning some of these people.
Just to say my thoughts on it, Ren.
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
I was really quite excited for it. I saw stills from it, and I saw the look of it, and I was like, it's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's going somewhere to make like a porn movie. I'm loving that idea. But when I came to it, to come watching it, I felt it didn't do anything new for me whatsoever. Spoiler to a death, when a dude looks through a thing in his eye, and I was like, oh, don't say you could stab his eye. And it's like, oh, Lucio Fulci did this in the 70s. Like, it's nothing new. And I just felt there was nothing new there. But I understood the theme of it with looking at old and that. But I came to this conclusion, and this might not be me at all. Ty West made a film, which I'd like to say a Ty Western. He made a Western film with Ethan Hawke and John Travolta. And it wasn't very good. And then didn't do anything until this. Well, he did. He was directing just TV episodes, which maybe he wanted to do TV episodes. Maybe it's just a paycheck, or he wanted to go that way. I was wondering if he was waiting for another film, because he's done a movie with John Travolta and Ethan Hawke. It's his first sort of major, sort of more film. I'm wondering while waiting for possibly another feature, a big proper one to go, and maybe it didn't work out as well as it did, so he was just doing TV. I might be making this up. This might not be anything at all what happened. He wrote this, and it's about wanting to make it and stuff. I might be completely wrong. I might be really looking into the idea of the themes of this film, but I was wondering if he was writing some of this of his own experiences and things.
Yeah, I can see that, because the RJ, the cameraman, the guy who's the director of the porno, really wants to make an art film, not just a dirty movie.
And Mia Goth, who I want to call RoboCop because of her no eyebrows, she's the whole time saying, I want to make it, I want to be a star and all sorts. And I don't know if there's something of that coming out and he was just in a strange place. I might be making this all up and just looking at something which isn't correct, but that's how I decided it. Halfway through the film, reviewing it, I went, I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good shout. And we've also got Jenna Ortega in this, who recently has played Wednesday in the series, and people will know her from, I think she was in one of the new Scream films as well.
And the reason I said it very quickly is just in case I say it now, so as we go through it, I might be wrong, but as we go through the film and its themes, keep that in mind as a little seed, just in case that you might go, oh, that could be right, actually. So that's what I'm saying there.
Like my Christine/cocaine theory.
Indeed.
Indeed. We've also got Kid Cudi, the rapper, in this as Jackson, the man with a gigantic penis. A couple of cocks in this, actually, haven't there? And Old Lady Boobs. We don't get Old Lady Boobs very often. Old Man's Cock we've had in the past, but Old Lady Boobs in this one. Martin Henderson plays Wayne, who I first saw in a film with Ice Cube called what was it called? Torque, about guys racing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Fast and Furious on motorbikes, and he's actually Australian. He was in Home and Away, and then there's a few other people. Yeah, and there's a few other people thrown in this, but I think the cast is very good. Yes, it's very Texas. There's definitely homages. It's straight up. Same scenes, shots used for different things as well. Great setting, though. And
just very quickly, Ty Resta is a writer, director, and editor. I can't remember the term, but he said he was going to try something new with the editing. But there's bits of it which just frustrate me. The two flashes of the next scene, then the third flash being going into the next scene. Just stop it. Don't do it. It's interesting. You can do it.
I guess that bit would make is like some people would like it, some people wouldn't. It didn't bother me that much. It was confusing the first time.
I probably only noticed because I'm an editor, so
it confused me the first time it happened. But after a while, I was used to it, and I just figured that was it was to add to the confusion.
It's a style choice.
I will talk about Pearl at the end, but. What I also appreciate is that they secretly made Pearl and this back to, at the same time, because spoiler, and if you haven't seen this, it's a big spoiler here. Mia Goth plays two roles in this film.
I thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was her another point, but it can't be. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so she plays the old lady Pearl, who we don't know the name of really until the sequel. In heavy old person's makeup, and I did not know that. Now Mia Goth also was in Suspiria.
Oh, what she played?
She played Pearl. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She played, but they kept that secret.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I'll give it more kudos.
And Mia Goth also wrote Pearl with Ty West.
So obviously, when they're shooting those guys together, they just did when we did the Shadow of Death. You've still never met Sophia.
Yeah.
And yet you're in a scene with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's pretty clever that they made two movies at the same time. One was the prequel to the other one, and at the end of this, if you want to, you can then go and watch Pearl and find out about the old lady on the farm and why she's doing what she's doing. And it is, like he said, like Don said, it is a real throwback to the Wizard of Oz and all those 50s Technicolor movies where it's all very bright reds and bright blues and done in a very sort of almost a very uplifting Stepford Housewives kind of way. But I'll talk about more and more about Pearl at the end because I know you haven't seen it, and I want to give you a very brief overview of it without any spoilers. But let's talk about X. XXX. Not XXX, that's Triple X with Vin Diesel. Forget I said that. We're not covering that. People might be watching this thinking, oh, is this a prequel to that Vin Diesel film where he's only got one X?
When's Vin Diesel going to come into this then, Harold?
Yeah, but the worst thing is his catchphrase is family. So he's going to be in like a total like...
What, the same as Fast and Furious?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He says that in all of his films, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's family.
That's it all the time. Does he have a big family or something?
But why are we going to break into this bank, Vin Diesel?
Family.
Well, okay.
Yeah. Does he have a big family, do you think?
I don't know. He's got a twin brother.
Has he?
Yeah, but he doesn't look anything like him.
Oh.
They look like complete, like, you know, like the Chuckle Brothers. Actually, no, they looked quite similar. I can't think, but basically, like, have you ever seen Scarlett Johansson's twin brother?
Are you saying it's going to be a Chuckle Brothers movie and it's going to be Vin Diesel and his brother playing them?
That'd be amazing.
Scarlett Johansson's brother? No.
She's got a twin brother, but they look nothing alike. Yeah, obviously, because you can't have identical twins if there's different sexes. Anyway, we've digressed. Let's get to X.
Got him.
I do apologise. So yes, Don is right. We start off with what you think is that sort of, I don't know the technical term, you'll know it, the square box aspect ratio. And we are watching a sheriff who seems like the sheriff from Dusk Till Dawn, that kind of thing, in Texas, and he's investigating...
This is shot in New Zealand, by the way.
Yes, it is. Given away by a couple of landmarks, apparently, but unless you know, you wouldn't know. It's very clever.
I could say, on second review of this film, the film's fine. I don't dislike it. It just does nothing new for me, but it's absolutely fine. I watched it. It was all right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll give my full thoughts at the end. So yeah, but it's not that aspect ratio. It's just that we're looking through the window, and then it goes full screen, and it's a cop at a crime scene, and there's a body under a sheet, a very bloody body under a sheet, and there's a hatchet stuck in the floor of the porch. There's pools of blood. The TV's on, playing the television evangelist saying, God is good and God is right and this isn't the life I chose, and all this kind of stuff. And one of the guys goes up to the sheriff and says, Sheriff, you might want to come and take a look at this. Now, in a film like this, whenever someone says you might want to come and take a look at this down in the basement, you think, oh, what the fuck? Because this reminded me of the Autopsy of Jane Doe, where they say, yeah, come and take a look at what's in the basement if you think this is bad. And they go down there and he just says, my God, and that's it. We don't see any more.
Which is all right. It's a cliffhanger as such, I guess.
Yeah. And we know we're going to come back to that, which we do. So credits roll. Cocaine comes out. A lot of cocaine in this, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
Mia Goth is loving the white stuff in this. Not in real life, obviously. Her character, Maxine. She's sniffing the coke. We got spooky,
disco,
cool sort of disco funk playing. And it says 24 hours earlier. A lot of title cards. 24 hours earlier. Houston, Texas. 1979.
Mungo Jerry Summertime. Is Mungo Jerry's son live? I know him. He lives in Farnham.
I know, because we were going to try and get him to let his dad have this song.
Oh, yes,
for the Shadow of Death.
Yeah,
but we never got around to it in the end. I'm just going to bear with me. I'm just going to open this can. Thank you. Not often we do that on this show. It's not a beer, don't worry. I haven't reverted. It's a CBD drink, if anyone's interested. Very nice. I was just telling Gav off mic. It's very nice. Chills you out a little bit, as you would expect. So Maxine works in a sort of a strip club, but dabbles as an adult film star.
Is she kind of like based on Linda Lovelace? I looked it up and there was nothing in trivia from that, but she just felt very Linda Lovelacey.
Potentially.
As a character.
This was around the time when because they talk about Debbie Does Dallas.
Yeah.
There were a couple of adult films that were hitting the mainstream. People were like, oh,
like
have you heard
Throat.
of... Yeah, Deep Throat.
It's the most well known, and that starred Linda Lovelace, who was then famously kind of abused by boyfriend who made her have sex with a dog on camera.
Oh my God, I didn't know that bit.
Yeah, she's went to a bad place, dark place.
Oh dear, that sounds awful. So yes, Maxine's boyfriend comes to grab her. That's Wayne. Good old Wayne, and he says, "Come on, Maxine, time is money. We gotta go." And they hit the road in their van, and as you say, Gav, we get in the summertime when the weather is hot. Yep. It's a great song. In fact, great soundtrack. Surprised they got the rights to some of these great songs throughout this. But I guess a lot of films have Don't Fear the Reaper in them as well. And she works for an adult film company on the side, like I said. So they've hit the road. There's 3 guys and 3 girls in a van.
I've got to say, I kind of feel with Don't Fear the Reaper, it's kind of like when you see Night of the Living Dead on a TV. Do you know what I mean? When you hear Don't Fear the Reaper, it's a bit like, okay, it's Don't Fear the Reaper. I know, I get the idea, because Don't Fear the Reaper, it's death. And it is a good song, but it's like, we've heard the song before.
But also it's kind of reminding you, hey, we're in the late 70s here. So, yeah, they hit the road, 3 guys and 3 girls. That's all you need for a party, innit, Gav? And basically there's 3 porn stars and the director, the cameraman RJ, who is the editor, director, etc., and cameraman, and then Jenna Ortega, who plays Lorraine, and that's RJ's girlfriend, and she's kind of just on hand as a bit of a
sound recordist.
Yeah, but she does a bit of everything.
That's an important role, though.
Later on, she wants to do a little bit more than that. And they're chatting in the van as they're driving, and we find out they're on their way to make what they consider to be an arty adult film. It's the American dream, etc., etc. They really want to get this made. So we know what's going on now. They're off to make a porno, basically. They pull up to a gas station. Right, everybody, let's use the bathrooms. Let's fill up the...
And that's why I just watched this just like that then. Even then, it's just and they put up to a bathroom, a van full of kids. And it was like, I've seen this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't bother me too much, though.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I feel negative. I think it's because I really like Ty West. I went to the cinema going, this is going to be fucking brilliant. And I was like House of the Devil, I was like, that's taking that film that we already know, the babysitter trope, and just making this really long-winded but tension-building, amazing film. And I thought he was going to do something really good with this genre. And I was just a bit disappointed.
I disagree, but...
No, please.
But agree but disagree. I agree that it's not exactly anything new, but I don't feel like it outstays its welcome. I feel like it's ticking all the right boxes, and some of it is a bit newer than stuff. Like, I mean, for fuck's sake, throwing an alligator, I'm there, you know me.
I like the alligator shot. I think I give that props.
Great.
I give that props, yeah.
While they're at the gas station, Maxine is talking to Wayne, who is not only her boyfriend but also the guy that's running the whole show. So he gets to watch his girlfriend get fucked by other guys on this porn shoot, which comes up later on. They're talking about Debbie Does Dallas, which has just become a huge hit. We want to make as much money as that, And he says to Maxine, "Listen, you've got the X Factor." And she's like, "I'm going to be world famous. I tell you that. I'm going to be world famous." Then they go outside and they fill up the car, and while they're there, they're like, "Well, we can grab a shot of you, Jackson, who's the main porn guy. You can just fill up the truck, and that could be one of the scenes from the film." And there's a very funny moment where, I don't know if you noticed it, there's a sign that says, "Forward pump, please," which is just an instruction as to when you're filling up the tank in your car. But it's just so funny that it says "forward pump, please," because then they're like, if you film it from this angle, it'll look like he's holding his dick.
Yeah, it's the other porn star suggests that.
Yeah, because she thinks she's a bit of a Marilyn Monroe of porn, doesn't she? That's Bobby Lynn. Bobby Lynn. So they start shooting that scene. Not much goes on really. They buy some groceries.
Oh, yeah, they do, yeah, sorry.
And the TV show's on. So it's out in the sort of Bible Belt part of Texas where there's a lot of evangelist TV shows on. TV, guys just preaching, and that's what it is, and that's the way it goes. And they stop they have to slow down as they get to a terrible crash where a load of cows has come out of the back of a lorry, and they're all in the road.
I didn't see a point of this.
Well, it's just got kind of
It's quite bloody, but it's like
it gives us a little.
so I don't know what's why.
Well, it gives us perhaps a little bit of foreboding, because someone who gets run over by later on, and there's some gore on the truck, and also Maxine sort of almost vomits, but then obviously later on she's gonna be more into gore, as we find out. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it is very bloody. One of the cows has been hit by a huge semi, and Maxine says, "I hate blood and guts," and it's like, okay, well, I'm sure you won't later.
And then they just drive on. I just think it's kind of wasted, really.
And they drive on, and the sheriff that we saw in the opening scene is there, and he sort of looks at them as they drive past, and that's it, really. He's going to come back later on. And they arrive at a fantastic set. There's a farm, there's a lake, there's an old cabin next to the farm, and it's very, very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as Don himself said.
Yeah.
Wayne says, right, you guys wait here. I'm going to go and tell the owner we're here. I spoke to him on the phone on Tuesday, so he's expecting us. So they stay in the van, and he goes up, knocks on the door. Howard, are you in? So Howard is the grumpy old git who runs the farm. And he says, who are you? Are you from the government? And he's like, no, it's me, Wayne. I'm renting the cabin from you.
He's kind of like President Biden, isn't he?
Oh, Jesus, he is a bit. He really is, actually.
Yeah.
Christ. Forgetful, old and doddery. He pulls a shotgun out on Wayne. Really, I've got to say, the score, obviously the choice of songs is good, but the score for me is really good in this.
I have to go back. Some reason I didn't catch it, but I have listened to some of his movies' scores before, because they're pretty good. I wonder if it's the same composer.
It's really, really good. Very elements of it are sort of a bit Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but not. It's hard to explain, and it's got some kind of like vocal, like choral bits in it as well, where it's just voices and stuff. It's really good. I liked it. Anyway, he's got a shotgun pulled at him. Not good. And they spot this from the van. And, oh, shit, something bad's happening. Why is the guy pulled a shotgun at him? And he's like, Howard, you must be being forgetful. I spoke to you 2 days ago. And he's like, oh, okay, can't be too careful. Don't worry, my gun's not even loaded. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Let me show you where you'll be staying. Now, while that's happening, Maxine spots somebody in the window upstairs. Now, I think there's quite a lot of Psycho in this as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like spotting someone in the window upstairs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think I think this movie's made with influences of probably his love of horror films or something.
Yeah, but the other Psycho thing is the way they dump the cars in the lake.
Oh,
just
yeah.
You know, so, and you know my thoughts on Psycho, I absolutely love it. So Howard shows Wayne where they'll be staying, which is a cabin next door to the farmhouse.
Obviously doesn't know they're doing porn.
Doesn't know yet. And he's sort of coughing and falling over. And Wayne's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Very old. Again, just like Biden. It's a really lovely, cute little cabin, sort of your Evil Dead style cabin. But Howard is very concerned because he says, I didn't realize it'd be 6 of you staying here. Well, I thought it might just be you and your girl. And he sort of gets a bit suspicious, and they're like, don't worry about it, I'll give you a little extra money. So he gives him a big bunch of cash and says, you know, it's all fine, don't worry about it. And he says, all right, just keep it down and don't disturb my wife who's in the farmhouse next door. And they're like, okay, we won't. And he drives off to town in his pickup, and they get started. I think Wayne says something like, let's get to business.
Yeah.
Does the little hand rub. And it's porn time. And the aspect ratio changes again slightly because we're looking through cameras and stuff.
It's like a 16mm type look.
I knew you'd be able to tell me the numbers. RJ is loving directing this. Now, RJ, again, is the guy that thinks he's making more than just porn. Really, he's making porn, let's be honest. But He thinks it's more than porn, and he's like, can we go a different angle? Can we do this? Can we do that? And at one point, Jackson, who's the main porn star, says, why don't you just handle the camera and let me handle the screwing? It really puts him in his place. And it's Jackson and Bobby Lynn just banging away.
Banging away.
And Maxine, while they're filming this sex scene from many different angles, Maxine decides to go outside in nothing but a dungaree dress and explore the area. Now, while she's doing that, someone is in the woods far behind her, spying on her. And it's an old lady, probably the old lady belonging to the farmer, his wife.
I was just quickly checking. I don't think they do. I was wondering if they actually shot with a 16mm camera. No, not I can see. So I think they just put the effects on afterwards.
Cool. Well, the old lady watches Maxine, and Maxine undresses and has a little skinny dip. Fair play to Maya Goth. She gets it all out in this movie. A lot of the girls show bits and bobs. Not that that matters, but it makes it more realistic because they're making porn. And plus, in the late 70s and early 80s, girls were, and guys
naked
sometimes were getting butt naked. Yeah, and we do see, like I said, we do see a couple of penises in this as well. Although one of them belongs to a dead man. So yeah, she goes and skinny dips. While that's happening, though, Wayne is saying. He goes outside in between the shots and he says to RJ, man, this is going to be the best porno ever. Feel how hard my cock is. And he grabs RJ's hand, puts it on his cock, and says, feel that. And RJ's like, oh, yeah, well, okay. You must be excited about this. And it's like, that was your girl in there banging away with another guy, If that's what gets you off, mate, that's what gets you off.
I do feel Mia Goth's old woman look, now we know it's Mia Goth. I do. I wonder if it is modelled on the young boy. I think it is. Whose hair goes all white on the bike in the Mouth of Madness.
Maybe.
Do you remember? It looks really. I was like, it looks a bit like that.
It's horrible.
Yes.
And especially when she flashes her old creepy boobs. Her old creepy boobs. So Bobby Lynn and Jackson are having a cigarette and talking after the sex scene, and we get the weird cuts. This is the first time we get the weird cuts, the weird editing.
It's just cutting into the next scene, but they're doing
3 times.
The third is the next scene, so there's 2 flashes of the next scene coming in. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's different. I'm not hating on it. It's just I can take it or leave it.
And most people won't really notice, probably.
Now, Maxine is in the water, floating naked, having a great time, chilling out. What she doesn't know, but what we see, because we're...
Big drone shot, I presume.
Yeah, and we see that there's a fuck-off great big alligator in that lake.
See...
Not as big as Lake Placid alligator, but still pretty big.
So you do get overused with drone shots at times, but this is a really good use because it's just simple. It's literally static.
And she gets a weird feeling because she sees a vulture circling overhead and thinks, I might go back now. I might swim back to the shore. She doesn't see the alligator. So she swims back. And again, Don mentioned this in his blurb. We get this great bird's eye view now where she's swimming and it's taking her ages because she's casually swimming back to the shore and the alligator is closing in, which she doesn't know about. And she jumps out just in time. The alligator doesn't show itself. She doesn't know she's been in danger. That's the end of that. Great scene. Really good scene.
Yeah, it's good.
And I was like, again, my first watch, I was like, so is this going to be about an alligator? What is going on here? They're making porn. There's an alligator. This has got everything I like in it.
Like that Toby Hooper, Robert England movie.
Oh, Eaten Alive.
Yeah.
And again, this definitely references that, I think.
Yeah, I think he's just pulled out his DVD collection and watched them and made a script.
Well, some people do that, Rob Zombie, and some people don't. So they shoot more footage of acting. Knocks on the door. Hi, I'm a detective. Can I come in? My daddy ain't home right now, but you can come in. So really bad porn acting, but it's fun.
The Farmer's Daughter. I think it's actually an extra on the DVD.
Oh, really? Yeah, because they're making a film called. Is it called The Farmer's Daughter? The name of the film that they're making.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Maxine outside sees the old lady now. She actually sees her and she waves to her. And the old lady just sort of beckons her a little bit. So she thinks, shall I go in? So she goes up to the house. The old lady says, lemonade? Lemonade? Scary way to ask for a lemonade. She says, yeah, sure. So she has a lemonade with this old lady.
Now, this is what I've got to give a little clap to Ty West for the editing here, though. I do like the framing of both situations, the porn movie and what she's doing in the kitchen, interspliced as in the same positioning of them, so it's like a comparison for whatever reason.
Yes, it's a mirror, isn't it?
It's got it showing, like, because we find out, obviously, she was younger, she used to like shagging herself.
Yeah, so what Gab's talking about there is the old lady of the house is pouring a lemonade and sitting down and not really saying much to Maxine, and then it keeps cutting back to the porn film where they're shooting a scene where the farmer's daughter is pouring a lemonade for Jackson, who's the detective in this porn film, and there's a seduction going on there, but there's also a seduction going on
in a way. It's
lady,
trying to put a comparison of both. This is what's happening, and this is all good. Like stuff sometimes like that. I go, that's pretty cool. I
like that as well. I really like that too. So the scenes do mirror each other.
I wish more of the movie was as staged and made like this.
The old lady does sort of talk about the war and how her husband went away for a long time, then came back, and how she lost her family, and then she sort of looks at her and says, "You have a special face," and Maxine's like, "Oh, thanks very much."
Yeah.
You know, I know I do. I'm going to be famous. Well, she doesn't say that, but she knows she's going to be famous. And then we cut to the other scene, and Jackson starts kissing with Bobby Lynn, and then we cut back to the old lady who then sort of prods Maxine, sort of touches her, not her breast, but like touches her body. And Maxine's like, "What are you doing? Get off me." And then Howard comes back, the husband, in his pickup truck, and the old lady says, "Quick, leave, but keep this a secret."
Yeah.
And Maxine's like, "Keep what a secret?" But she knows she doesn't want to piss off Howard because they're renting his cabin, and he told her not to disturb his wife. So she sneaks away, and she sneaks back to her friends. Wayne sort of does a bit of a jump scare. "There you are. We're getting ready for your scene. Come on, Maxine."
Yeah.
There's a little bit of Boogie Nights in this as well, here and there. Do you know what I mean? Probably because it's a porn. Great film, by the way. Absolutely brilliant film.
What, Boogie Nights?
Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah, of course.
Fucking great, isn't it? When that came out, that was like, there was a new type of cinema happening when that came out. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah, it's just really thoroughly great acted story. It's a world you can believe, and then it goes through traumatic events, and it's just, it's very good.
It's kind of like a bit Saturday Night Fever-ish in a way, isn't it?
In a way.
Saturday Night Beaver. That's sweet.
Saturday Night Beaver.
Forrest Hump. The one they didn't mention in that list, by the way, was Shaving Ryan's Privates. Why didn't they mention that one?
Definitely.
That's a clever one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to X. Sorry, we're going all over the place with this. So where are we at? Oh, yes. So Howard, unfortunately, sees 2 empty lemonade glasses on the table. So he knows someone's been in and talking to his wife. So some of this reminds me a little bit of The Visit as well. I keep saying this. This reminds me of this. This reminds us. But also reminds me a bit of The Visit as well, because you've got an elderly couple and they've got a secret about the wife and that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff. I get why someone might think this is the hodgepodge of ideas, but for me, it just works. He's done something good with it and got it to work. So Maxine's sex scene. Oof. She goes in the stables with the horses. She's the farmer's daughter. This time, the detective, who's just banged her sister, walks in and says, "Oh, I didn't realize there was somebody else here." And she's like, "Oh, you must have been talking to my sister. I'm the pretty one out of the two of us." And it's time for the sex scene between them. And she gets on top and Ride him like a cowgirl.
And it's kind of been a narrative for the old ladies herself.
Yeah.
You know, the story in the porn film is supposed to be reflecting again what it's been set up with the table and the way it's set up there, and the geography of that, and where it is now, what she's saying.
And when you watch Pearl, there's even more to this linked in with that.
Because there's a bit where she goes, in a fake porn movie, you wouldn't like Daddy when he's angry, and that's obviously, I think, about her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after Maxine's scene,
they seem to be mesmerised by her. I don't know why. I don't see nothing special.
She's got the X Factor.
I don't see nothing special in her. She looks like RoboCop. Come on.
But the old, I think she's hot.
No.
But then I think RoboCop's hot. So
Well, there you go.
and that's another one, RoboCop. Why wasn't that on the list?
Exactly.
You have 20 seconds to comply.
Oh, so good.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
It's brilliant.
Drop them. As in, drop your underwear. Any others?
No.
No. Okay. But while Maxine is riding away, old lady
Having a little purr through the window, like doing a Ted Bundy.
Well, no, I was going to say she does a Vince Vaughn.
That's true.
She's having a little Vince Vaughn.
Do you reckon she's having a little flick? Is she?
I don't know if she flicked the beam while she was
not
watching.
Flicking. She's a bit old. She ain't flicking nothing.
Later on, she gets right
Might
into
set a
it.
fire down there. She starts flicking.
Oh, God. Moths coming
so
out.
Dry.
Dry as a witch's snatch, as the saying goes. The first time I ever heard somebody say, "Oh, it's as dry as a witch's snatch," was back when I used to smoke, or someone was smoking cigarettes and they had a pouch of tobacco, and I said, "Oh, can I have a cigarette?" And they said, "Yeah." They said, "Oh, I've got to be honest, this is very old tobacco. It's as dry as a witch's snatch." And I was like, "What did you just say?" And he was like, "It's dry as a witch's snatch." And I thought, that is incredible. And I've used that term ever
And
since.
here you are telling the world
on a podcast many years later. So yeah, old lady's caught a little sneaky peek, so she now knows they're making porn. But
she also wants some old man cock now.
She does. She is horny now. Everyone in this film is pretty horny. Even Jenna Ortega, the little nerdy church mouse as they call her, later on, she's like, "You know what? I'd like some cock too.
I want some sausage.
Get me some cock, please."
Get me some battered sausage.
So yeah, it's almost like the old lady envisions herself as Maxine, because she sort of she is on top of the guy, but it's not really the old lady, it's Maxine. But she's just thinking, "Oh, I really want some cock." So nighttime.
Battered sausage outside of England, listeners, is a way to deep fry a sausage in batter, and it's just battered.
It's my go-to at a chip shop.
I've never done the battered Mars bar, but it's a thing.
I've had that in Scotland.
Bit of a northern England thing.
I've had it in Scotland, and I've had battered pineapple fritters, we call them.
Right.
It's one of my favourites as well. Do you like that?
No, I'm not really into pineapple.
What about battered spam?
Oh, I've never had that.
Oh, come on. Anything in batter.
I love the fact oh, come on, like I should have eaten battered spam.
Spam fritters. Come on.
Battered spam. I've got a battered sausage in the freezer.
That sounds like a good band name, doesn't it? Battered spam.
Battered spam. No, it's battered spaff.
That is what we'd be called. Instead of wham, we'd be spam.
Spam. I like
Wait.
it.
There we go.
My dad used to know a guy called Michael George.
Oh, brilliant.
It just used to fuck my head so much.
Michael George.
Because I was a kid, and it was the 80s when George Michael was famous and out there, and he was Michael George. It's just like, it's blowing my little mind.
I remember when I first started at my last job, and I got an email from Ed Murphy, and I thought, what the fuck? There's a guy here called, and his name was Edmund Murphy. And I thought, this is crazy. And I was emailing him. He was in a different department. And then one day I had a meeting with him and a couple of other people. White guy. Glasses. Didn't look anything like Eddie Murphy. I was gutted. I really wanted some black guy to walk in the room, start laughing. Thought it would have been brilliant. But he must have had it all his life. And one of my sister's friends is called James Brown. And he's a white guy as well. James Brown.
I want to be James Brown. Fun enough, my friend's dad's James Brown.
Amazing. Well, we know Dean Martin as well, one of our listeners and friends.
Exactly.
Dean Martin.
Shout out. You're in the
Shout
names.
out to you, Dean. Yeah, we haven't mentioned you for a while, Dino, but, Big Dino, as we like to call you. Well, I do anyway. It is his nickname, don't worry. Anyway, look, we've digressed again. This X-rated film is taking me all over the place. It's because I'm getting hot and horny. Do apologise.
Just get on with it.
Okay, so it's nighttime and Howard is fuming about someone drinking lemonade with his wife, and his wife comes up to him and she says, "Howard, touch me like you used to. Tell me I'm beautiful." And she gets her old lady boobs and he says, "Oh, I can't. My heart might not be able to take it." That's a good excuse if you're not up for it.
Well, it's... Yeah, she don't have to keep pressuring him, though.
Women say, "I've got a headache." Men, if you don't feel like it, just say, "My heart might not be able to take it." What are they going to do?
Well,
Give you a heart attack?
well, ride you anyways, we discover eventually.
Yeah, indeed. So, music time. Everyone's happy, cooking. The first day of porn shoot went well. We've got some music playing. Oh, it's fantastic. Well done, Maxine. You did really well. You're definitely going to be a star. Lorraine, this is Jenna Ortega, starts a conversation. Can I just ask some questions? How does it feel to watch your girlfriend get absolutely banged by this guy? And he's like, it's just business. It's just business. She's like, yeah, but...
It's fine if the camera's rolling, he says.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, but how can you have trust and love? And it opens up a really good discussion all about what it must be like working in this industry. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think there's probably a very slim percentage of the porn couples who are actually relationships carry on for a long
but even
time.
like, how do you deal with the fact that, like, a small scale as if your wife or your girlfriend was like a lap dancer?
Yeah.
Even that would like fuck my head up.
Even sex work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that opens up this whole discussion. They discuss how, it's the 70s, we're all free and we're open and we're all going to get rich, and it's all thanks to the perverts because our job is to turn the perverts on, and that's all quite fun stuff. And they raise a toast to the perverts, and then Jackson starts playing the guitar, and this is the scene now where Bobby Lynn sings Landslide, which is, like I said, a beautiful song. I know Don agrees.
I'm sorry, at this point I wanted to say fuck off, you cunts. I just wanted the guy from Kill List to come along, pick up the guitar and smash it all over and say there's a time and a place, and just get rid of that guitar. I hated this part, sorry.
I really loved it.
Cringe city.
I loved it because it reminded you that although they were making porn films, the 70s, they thought they were doing it all for love and, obviously money, but...
It split screened and it was soppy as shit. Then it shows the lady getting ready for bed and a song saying about getting older, and it's just like, fuck off. Get this out my face.
It's a great song, girl.
Oh,
it's
no,
fucking
it's
classic. Smashing Pumpkins did a great version of it. Yes, you're right. So we get the split scene. I've written here, it's a beautiful, haunting moment. And you've just taken a big shit all over that.
That's what mine says. But that obviously, your opinion, mine's my opinion. I might be completely wrong. That's just how I feel. So,
But an opinion is never wrong, is it? It's just an opinion at the end of the day.
Of course.
No,
and the
right.
film's always going to be there, regardless.
Yeah.
When I die, the film's still going to be there.
Indeed. Well, after the Landslide song and after we've seen the old lady, who we know from the second film is called Pearl, sort of sat in front of the mirror crying because she's old and not beautiful anymore. Lorraine then pipes up with, "I think I'd like to be in the film." And her boyfriend's like, "What? What do you mean?" She's like, "I'd like to get fucked in this film." And he's like, "Hang on a minute. Firstly, you're my girlfriend. Secondly, I've written the film. There's no scenes in this for you." And she's like, "Well, you can write me into it." And they start almost having an argument. And she says to him, "Well, Psycho's one of your favourite films. And, the woman gets killed off early on in that. You could do something similar where another person just comes in towards the end of the film that you didn't expect." So Wayne takes everybody away and says, hang on, as the producer, I think I need to calm this situation down. And he takes RJ outside and he says to her, basically says to him, "Look, if you don't let her fuck Jackson on camera, she's only going to go off and fuck loads of other guys behind your back. So you might as well do it anyway. It's for art. We're making art, not smart." And RJ's basically bullied into letting his girlfriend I mean, she's her own
She's going to
person.
do it anyway, don't she?
Yeah, she's her own person, but he basically says, oh. All right, so she's added to the movie, and straight away, it's like, all right, let's do your scene now. She can't wait.
She's pretty happy.
I like this scene. Jenna Ortega's quite hot, and she climbs aboard Jackson. She mounts him. It's an interesting scene. The film left me feeling lots of different ways, Gav.
It must have done. I watched it with my girlfriend.
I didn't. I mean, I've got a wife. I don't have a girlfriend, but
Be weird if you had watched it with your girlfriend. As you've got a wife.
I've got a secret girlfriend.
Yeah.
So there we go. She's now shagged, and Howard wakes up. It's a full moon.
No, I don't want to say her boyfriend's then crying in the shower. Fuck off, you dickhead.
I love that bit though, because it's just it's a role reversal
God.
where we've seen a woman crying in a shower after something terrible's happened.
Like,
This type
I
of
understand that maybe he's really into her and is in love or whatever, and then she's doing that, and obviously must be quite horrible for him. But at the same time, you're making porn. Like, you can't expect some of these bad things to be in it.
He didn't expect that.
Well, that's a curveball he should expect. Unexpected.
She was a quiet little Catholic girl, church mouse they
He's
called her.
introduced it to her. He's the problem. He's like the pusher.
Yeah, but the problem is, Gav, is it's not just the fact that she shagged that guy. She went for it. She probably
shagged him probably better than she shags him. Exactly. But
and RJ's crying his eyes out.
But get over it, come on.
And then he says, "I'm going to go. I'm going to take the van and see how far they get without the van."
He has a little mood, doesn't he? A tantrum.
He puts on the radio and we get "Don't Fear the Reaper" come on. Starts driving. Then he sees the old lady in the headlights. Oh, are you okay, ma'am? Are you okay? You're in the way of the van. What's going on? She gives him a hug. He's like, okay. Then she gives him a full-on smoochy smooch on the mouth. And he's like, why did you do that? Why did you do that?
The closest I've ever had to this with an older lady.
Oh, God.
Me and my friend Johnny, we were working at this lady's flat. We're going into his flats, working pretty quick, in and out. But she,
yeah.
And I was like, can I use your loo? And I went into her toilet, had all these thongs up on this thing, which is just drying in the
G-strings.
and it's a bit like, these are strange underwear for you. And she was very keen on me and Johnny, my mate, say his name, to the point she goes, would you both like a drink of that? And I no, fine. She goes, how about a shower? You seem really hot. Maybe you could have a shower. You can have one. I've got towels. It's like, no one has ever asked me to shower when I'm working at their place. Never.
She wanted you and Johnny to shower together so she could watch.
And then the dude who set the work up later on said, oh, did you meet so-and-so? And I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, and laughed. And I was like,
what is he?
No, I just think it's probably a thing. And she's keen. And she's an older lady. She's exactly like this. It's pretty fair.
I dated an older woman once when I was in I must have been in my mid-20s.
How old?
She was about 20 years older than me.
Okay.
So about my age now.
Yeah.
Really. But she loved having a younger man. And we weren't really fully a couple, but I'd go around her house a lot, if you know what I mean.
She was using you for the rabbit you were.
But it's funny that you say about the shower, because one of the things, now thinking about it, she used to do, when I used to get around there, I used to always go around there straight from work, and she'd go, you probably want to take a shower. And I'd go in, and she'd go, do you mind if I sit and talk to you while you shower? And she'd watch me shower.
She's kind of like grooming you.
It was great, though.
That's so weird.
Anyway.
Yeah, everybody knows this now.
Don
older lady
said,
used to watch you shower. Like funny enough, I remember when the PE teacher used to do that at middle school.
Yeah, but it wasn't just an older lady. It was a lady that I was having relations with.
But it's interesting that she'd want to watch you shower. What's all that about?
But listen, our patron of the episode loves it when we share these stories. So that's why I'm giving extra.
Are you still
today.
Facebook friends?
Me and her?
Yeah.
No.
Facebook wasn't a thing then, was it?
It ended really badly.
Tell us how.
No, I can't. It's really bad.
Yeah, you can, because no one's going to know.
Oh, it's really bad.
Go on.
Oh no, because I can't.
You've been in so many relationship situations, and I haven't.
Okay,
Mine's so boring.
I'll edit this story as best I can then. So she was really close friends with someone who I'm still really close with.
Yeah.
And I was asked by that person. In fact, I'll just go ahead and say it was my sister's boss. And my mum and my sister sat me down one day and said, she is losing her mind. She thinks you two are going to end up in a couple. We know that you're not interested in that. You need to break it off with her because she's having like a breakdown because you haven't like texted her for 3 days. So please, can you end it with her? So I went to watch, I think it was Final Destination 1 with her at the cinema, knowing that all the way through this film, at the end of it, I was going to have to...
Did you sort of say that this film's themes are like our relationship?
It's headed for a huge crash. We're all going to die in flames. Well, I broke it off, and she locked herself in the bathroom and told me she was going to hurt herself. And I was like, oh, come on, no, don't do that. And I had to like get one of her friends around or something like that. She wasn't going to do anything. She was just having a, crazy moment. Then, about 6 months later... Oh, I can't even tell this bit. I sound like a dick. But 6 months later, we were all out having drinks, and she was there. And there was still a little bit of chemistry between us, and one of my friends started hitting on her. And I was getting really jealous about it. I was like, hang on a minute. Like, no. You don't... there's a thing about blokes, isn't there, where you don't go to somebody's ex or something.
Not really, no.
So I waded in there drunkenly and ended up taking her home again, and had to go through the whole thing again about a month later of breaking off with her. I was an asshole.
Dickhead.
I know. Just because of my pride. I was a mid-20s stupid boy.
Well, that's her choice to muck around with a stupid boy.
Look, I don't know why I've told this entire story now. Poor old Don.
It's brilliant.
It's because we're talking about older ladies.
I've got no interest in stories.
Older ladies. Anyway, back to RJ. So he sees the old lady in the headlights. She kisses him. She tries to show him her old lady boobs.
She wants to watch him have a shower.
She doesn't. But what she does do is she sticks a knife in his throat.
Yeah. If you're not sticking me, I'm sticking you, sunshine.
She then climbs on top of him, Gavin. Now, I like to count the thrusts in these films, as it were.
Yeah. Is she using this as sex?
23 stabs. Well, 24 if you include the first one. 24 stabs in the throat.
You counted. Amazing.
I counted them. While she's sitting on him, she stabs him 23 times.
Wow. In
the throat. And it's really good gore. It made me feel uncomfortable. And I thought she's literally going to behead him at this point. And while she's doing that, the blood's going on the headlights of the van, so it's all illuminated red. It's great, in my opinion. Really great shot, great colour, looks good. And then she starts writhing around on top of him, doesn't she? Like she's sort of...
I imagine, I don't know, because I don't know her story beforehand, if she's a killer. I guess she probably is. And it's not her first time, but maybe if it was, because from what we know, it's her first time killing, she's getting off on it, and it's reinvigorating certain areas of her brain, which is the same as almost sex,
Well, basically, this horny old lady has pretty much decapitated RJ with a kitchen knife.
The red blood on the hitting the van lights is lovely.
It's lovely. Cut back to his girlfriend Lorraine. She's like, hang on a minute, where is RJ? He's not in bed next to me.
It is the first kill an hour into the film.
Indeed. So Lorraine thinks, I better go find my boyfriend because he's not around. She starts walking around the house in the dark. She's like, where could he be? Where could he be? Wayne wakes up too, and he says, oh, all right, I'll help you find him. And Wayne is just wearing the tiniest pair of white pants.
He don't walk around a farm with no shoes on.
Why has he got no shoes on?
Such
Why?
a dickhead. Yeah.
But if I was him as well, I'd put some fucking trousers on.
The pants is fine. Chuck some boots on.
No,
though. It might
if
be
I'm
fucking
going
hot though. If it's real hot, and
Gav, if I'm going looking around for some old lady in the middle of the night, for someone's boyfriend in the middle of the night, I'm putting trousers on.
I'd probably be in my pants.
Well, you're always in your fucking pants.
I know you
pants. I've seen your bollocks so many times. Like, you know, that one time you Sharon Stoned me when you had your dressing gown on, and I was like, Gav, you went, oh, sorry, I haven't put my underwear on.
Remember.
Yeah, you got up in the morning, and I stayed at yours, and you came downstairs. You sat chatting to me. We were about halfway through our first cup of coffee, and then you did your Sharon Stone, and I said, I've just seen a testicle, Gav.
Oh, that'd be my long one.
He said, I'll put... You said, I'll go and put some pants on in a minute, and we carried on with the conversation. That's how close we are.
Remember.
In a minute, I'll put some pants on. But let's finish what we're talking about, Dan.
Once upon a time, I see, here I've got a story. There's a workout in, and we all stayed in because we trashed a hotel room that I paid for with other people and stuff, and we went and all crashed in this other hotel room because everyone from the works do was pretty much staying over in this big hotel. And I thought this dude was asleep. He's laying down. I thought he was asleep, and I was in my boxers. And I was standing just above his head with my legs apart, talking to someone, and he looked at us like, Gav, can you please move? And it's just look up, it's my nuts.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You wore a loose-fitting boxer short.
I wonder how many people have seen my nuts. Probably a few, actually.
Yeah, probably quite a few. You should do an OnlyFans.
Just my nuts.
This is exactly what our patrons want, isn't it?
I don't know if people want to see my nuts.
No, I don't mean your nuts. I mean, what they want is us to have these conversations where we just go on these random tangents about Dan showering for older women and Gav's almost teabagging someone by accident.
You totally pictured that in my mind, though. Not you naked in a shower, but a person having a shower, but then a woman, more than a woman, just sitting there across the glass. So, was it a good day at work today? Don't forget to get behind your ears. Bend over.
Behind your ears? What am I doing? What's she doing with my ears?
You're washing.
Yeah, but that wasn't the bit I was washing.
Cracked.
All right. Well, anyway, so Wayne wakes up as well, as we said, and he's in his pants. He goes in the stables, and Lorraine goes to the house, and she sees Howard. She says, I'm really sorry to disturb you so late, but have you seen my boyfriend? And he says, have you seen my wife? So he's looking for his wife, she's looking for a boyfriend. Okay, great.
Oh, maybe the boyfriend and the wife are together.
Well,
that's what it would be like, wouldn't it? Those two might be like, hang on.
Yeah, but except for one is about 50 years older than the other.
I know, but just for a laugh.
Hey, age ain't nothing but a number, Aaliyah said. And then got forced into a marriage with R. Kelly at 14. Anyway, moving on from R. Kelly.
Gonna piss on you, drip, drip, drip.
Still love that Eminem lyric from his new song where he says R. Kelly's favourite group was the Black Eyed Peas. The Black Eyed Peas. Nice. Fucking great. Anyway, Wayne is in the stables in just his pants, as Gav is very annoyed about. And
no boots, just with no boots on or whatsoever. That's what I'm annoyed about. Barefoot, it's just silly.
He stands on a nail.
Yeah.
It's a very Home Alone moment. The cows moo at him.
It's well done. The camera sits there in front of a nail waiting for it to come, so we know it's happening. And then it really goes in there. It looks like it goes in there. So it's probably a CGI nail maybe sitting there, I guess.
He pulls the nail out. He says, God damn it.
Probably is actually a CGI nail.
I'm going to get tetanus. And he sees somebody. He sees somebody moving around in the shadows just outside. And he's like, RJ, is that you? For God's sake, I've been stabbed in the foot. Can you help me? He peeps through the holes.
I feel like, honestly, Ty West had that day off for any of this scene was wrote. Can you write this for me and just gave it to someone else?
You've got to watch Pearl, Gav. I think you'll have a different understanding of this when you've watched Pearl.
I hope so, you know.
But it's a pitchfork as well. That's the other good thing, is it's not just a stab, it's a pitchfork through the fucking head. And you've got to remember that one thing we haven't mentioned is at the beginning of the film, everything they've said, they've described their own deaths. Because at one point, Wayne, who's just been pitchforked through the eye, says, what we're going to film this weekend is going to make people's eyes pop out of their heads. And his eyes get popped out of his head. And the way that there's something they've all said that relates to how they all die. So, I don't know. That's just a little clever thing.
But that's something you could just put in, go back to the script and just write that in.
But I really like it. Not often you get a pitchfork through the eyes.
Yeah.
So Howard says to Lorraine, help me find my wife. Go down to the basement, go down to the cellar and get the other flashlight. Fuck that. If an old man is sending me down to his dark cellar, I'm
What
not
old
going.
man wants you in his dark cellar?
Oh, well. Got a story about that as well, which I'm definitely not going to tell on this episode.
What? An actual story about a cellar?
Not a cellar, an old man.
Okay. Can we
It's
just do
really-
a side podcast?
It's really disturbing, and Alice always winds me up about it, but it's quite not very nice either.
Tried it on with you then.
Yeah.
Oh.
An old man stood outside the public toilets, and he asked me and my friends to go in the toilets with him.
What? Just like, do you want to come and loo me?
Do you want to know what he actually said to me?
Yeah, of course.
He said, "Do you want to come inside with me?" And we said no. We didn't know why he was asking us. We were about 12, 13.
Oh, really?
And he said, and apologies to anybody, I'm not trying to trigger anyone. He said to me, "Go on, I bet you're so juicy." And I didn't know what that meant. I thought, I still really don't know what he means to this day.
Well, he needs to be arrested.
What part of me was juicy?
I hate to think what else happened with that person.
But sometimes if we're talking about like fruit or we're drinking or something, Alice goes, that's juicy.
What,
And
she
sort
brings
of
up
looks
the
at me.
almost
I'm-
paedophile event that happened
Yeah,
in your
I mean, I
life.
was with like 6 of my friends. Nothing would have happened, but it was weird that it wasn't weird. It was
around the time then, and like you could do that and then just wander off, and it wouldn't be even
He
like
did,
a
he just
massive
wandered
thing.
off.
Yeah, and it wouldn't even be like a big thing.
and we didn't really think anything of it because
Yeah.
we didn't really know what paedophiles were, really. We just thought, why that man said that? That's weird.
Yeah.
Weird thing to say.
Yeah.
What would I have done in the toilets with him? Thank God I didn't go in and find out. Anyway, like I
Juicy
said,
fruits.
apologies to anybody that don't mean to trigger anyone. Anyway, cutting back to X, this is going on a wild ride and I'm loving it. I'm loving this X conversation. So
It's gone downhill
we flash cut.
with your toilet talk.
I know. We flash cut to Wayne dying as the pitchfork is pulled out of his head, and it's the old lady. She's killed again, and then she walks up to him, sticks it in him once more, and then just covers his body in hay. So,
Hey, why not?
hey, it's the last straw.
Good one.
Yeah, I almost bailed on that joke, but
Yeah.
you like that? I'm good. I'm quick with these puns, Gav.
Very good.
Dad jokes. Yes, so where are we at? Lorraine finds out that she is locked in the fucking cellar. Of course she is. I'm locked in. She starts screaming. She starts wandering around in there. She finds a dead man
Yeah.
hanging there with his knob out.
Knob is out.
Dead, naked knob. Now, that man, we're about to see him again because Jackson wakes up in the middle of the night next to Bobby Lynn. What is it, Jackson?
Well, they
He
wake
says-
up totally unaware of anything's going on.
Well, he says something. I thought I heard something. I'm just going to go and check it out. And he goes to the fridge and he pulls out a carton of milk. And on the side of the milk is that man missing that we've just seen naked dead in the cellar.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
And he drinks some milk, and then he looks around the cabin a bit, and then he sees Howard outside. He sees a flashlight, and he opens the door, and he says, "You okay, old man?" And he says, "Have you seen my wife? She's missing. She gets confused sometimes."
You got a good old
And then-
man voice.
Thanks. And then Jackson says, "I tell you what, I'll help you." And then we cut back to the silhouette of him stood there with this monster penis swinging between his legs. I mean, you don't see it. We just see the silhouette of it because he's butt naked talking to this old man. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll help you," because he was a Marine, Jackson. They talk about this earlier.
I'm
He
sure
was
it's a prosthetic penis.
who knows?
I'm
Cooney
sure-
might have a gigantic one.
I'm sure it's prosthetic penis.
Yes, I'm sure it was. But so he says, "Yeah, I'll help you. Don't you worry about that." We get the point of view of somebody approaching Maxine in her bed. And it's the old lady. She's so horny. She wants everyone. So she pulls the sheet off of her and she starts caressing Maxine's butt and her back. But she's got blood all over her hands, so she's smearing it all over her. She gets naked and lies next to her. And you think, what is she going to do to Maxine now? Poor Maxine's just unaware of it. Now, if an old lady starts smearing blood all over my back while I was asleep, I think I'd wake up, Gav.
I don't know. It depends how heavy you sleep. Like, Sarah's a deep sleeper. I could wipe blood all over her back. She wouldn't know.
Fucking hell.
Sarah, I don't do that.
She'll wake up like, what's all this on me?
Jam.
Nothing. Jam, strawberry jam. So anyway, Jackson and Howard, they go searching. And he says, look, I don't need a flashlight. I was a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. If she's out here, I'll find her. And you kind of trust him. You're like, okay, he's a porn star, but he's an ex-soldier. He's a badass.
No, I like this dynamic here, him actually helping. I don't trust the old guy as far as I could throw him. But I do like this bit here, because it's my safety blanket as such, I guess. So someone like, hey, I'm going to do this for you. I've been in Vietnam. I will find, if she's here, I'll find her.
And you think, great. And the old man's like, okay.
Yeah,
So,
and he kind of goes along with it for a while, and I kind of like that for a little bit. But even though I know it's a ruse.
so while that's going on, well, that nice relationship, we cut back to poor old Maxine, who's currently getting her face licked.
I know why I liked it. It's because the old guy, because the gentleman says that he will go looking, is the kind of black. And I obviously the era we're in, it might not be at all, because he was also a Vietnam vet, so he's worked for his country and stuff, and it might take some prejudice away from this guy. But this old guy, I don't know, do you know what I mean? But I'm assuming, I shouldn't, but I'm assuming with the era that he might have a slight racial tone to his way of
especially
thinking.
where they live.
Yeah. So I like the fact that he says, if your wife's here, I'll find her. I like, and he goes, oh, okay. I like the fact that then maybe he's going, oh, I shouldn't, they're just, people are just people. All humans are humans. I shouldn't judge, and this person's doing a nice thing for me. Oh, I'm wrong. I looked into that too much, but I kind of thought like that might be going on.
And when they were talking about Vietnam, Jackson also said earlier, he says, I was shot at by enough farmers in Vietnam, which again is foreboding of his death. But we'll come to that in a minute, because at the moment we cut back to Maxine, who's currently getting her face licked by an old lady. As you do, as I did back in the day. And she then smells her hair and tries to kiss her.
Wasn't an old lady though, was it?
No, she wasn't. She was my age right now.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I was just 20 years younger.
I watched Poltergeist 2 the other day, and the main God is in his holy temple, that guy.
He's scary as fuck.
But watched him, I was like, doesn't seem so old this time round.
I know, it's funny, isn't it?
No, he doesn't look that old to me. Okay, that's scary. Carry on. That's next episode.
Cut back to Jackson, and he finds an old car. It's half submerged in the lake.
Yeah, very psycho.
It's a bit weird. Then he sees a light in the water and thinks, oh God, the old man's falling in the water. So he goes in trying to, old man, are you in here?
What was that then? Did the old man throw the lamp in there to get him in there to get the crocodile to eat him, maybe?
I'm not sure why he did it.
I assumed the old guy threw the light in there to get him to go in there, and then I thought he was going to shoot him in the water, actually.
Well, we'll find out in a minute, but we cut back again to Lorraine, who's trying to find her way out of the cellar. She grabs a hatchet and she full on Jack Nicholson's the door. So she's trying to break out there, and then Jackson finds Howard in the woods and says, oh man, I thought you'd fallen in the water, what's going on? Howard just points a shotgun directly, like point blank, at Jackson's chest.
Well, he says to him, a last Bohemian who was enticing my wife, saying all this sort of stuff.
That's right.
I know what's going on, and then shoots him. The thing is, in the House of the Devil, someone gets shot. The surprise element is brilliant in the car. You don't know it's coming. It's brilliant. This, you knew this was coming. You know he's going to shoot him.
I didn't. This is my first watch. No.
The first watch, I was just like, I know he's going to shoot him, obviously.
I didn't think he was going to shoot him like point blank to the chest.
Because I thought he was going to shoot him in the water, and then he comes out and he's going to shoot him. I was like, I didn't feel the tension was here. But, and it's a shame, because I thought it was a dynamic going on slightly, ish, sort of.
So definitely one of the creepiest nightmare fuel scenes is next. Is where we go again. We're with Maxine in her bed, and she rolls over. She's nose to nose with this old lady who is herself. It's Maya Goth playing both these roles.
Yeah, very interesting.
Very clever. And she slowly opens her eyes. Imagine seeing this nose to nose with you.
Yeah.
This old lady smiling, like a horny, really old lady smiling naked, lying there. And she does what we would all do. She screams, which wakes up Bobby Lynn, who then sees the naked old lady running off. And she's like, what the fuck is going on here?
What are you into?
And then we see Lorraine chopping through the door. She reaches for the handle. She's trying to turn the handle, but Howard's turned up with his shotgun and he smashes her hand with the butt of the gun, possibly breaking her hand or some fingers.
They're very, very much breaking her fingers.
And he says to her, be quiet, you get back in there. Sort of makes her go back in the cellar. And he turns on the TV and it's the evangelist again, sort of preaching and preaching. And Maxine does what we all would do at this point. She's just woken up naked with an old naked lady nose to nose with her. She washes and snorts a load of coke. Get yourself back on point, as it were. Bobby searches outside and she sees the naked old lady on the edge of the lake. We've been waiting for this. We know that gator's there. And she says, listen, ma'am, I had a granny. My nanny was very ill and she was forgetful sometimes. Let me help you. I at one point I thought I could be a nurse. And the old lady slaps her and says, I don't need a nurse. And she says, why did you do that? And she says, you're flaunting it in my face. You women, you come here and you're flaunting it in my face. And she just pushes her in the water.
She does say, it's not my fault you didn't leave. The other one says, it's not my fault you didn't leave the life that you wanted.
That's right.
And I was like, is this Ty West midlife crisis script?
Well, either way, she gets pushed in the water and the gator grabs her head. And it's a fucking great scene. And you don't get many gators in films like this, so
yeah,
very happy to see a big monster gator eating. Now, I didn't know the difference. Well, I do know the difference between a crocodile and an alligator, but one's in Africa, Asia, the other one is in the Americas and Australia's. But do you know that an alligator is so much bigger and stronger and faster than a crocodile? Because I was listening to a Joe Rogan bit where he was talking about it, and he showed a clip where they had a lake full of crocodiles and alligators, and they chuck loads of food in, and the alligators just push all the crocodiles out of the way, like fuck off, and they just beat them all out of the way and go and eat all the food, and the crocodiles are just like, I guess we'll go hungry again then. They've got no chance.
Really?
So yeah, if I'd never, like, an alligator is the more monstrous of the two. Huge, big, muscly things.
Did you watch the other day, the James Bond movie where Roger Moore jumps over the crocodiles?
Is that the one where he dresses up as a Japanese guy?
No, I don't think so.
Is that the one where he gets inside a crocodile and pretends that he's...
No, that's Octopussy.
Oh, okay.
No, he jumps over them all there and he jumps. And I watched the outtakes. And it's a stunt man just folding any time and a crocodile trying to get him and then quickly pull his leg out.
You're telling me they didn't get Roger Moore to jump across loads of... Was it real crocodiles?
Yeah.
What?
And he's running across them. They must have positioned them. They must have been really docile or something. And he runs across their backs and he did it.
They wouldn't do that these days.
Fourth time he makes it. No, because he falls in at the end and like the croc's quick turn out to pull his leg out super quick. It's like, that's insane.
Jackie Chan used to do shit like that.
Yeah.
Hippos, tigers.
Started watching Armour of God the other day.
Oh, it's one of my apps, probably top 3 Jackie Chan films.
Oh, I only got through the beginning of it and I stopped. I was like, Sarah be into this, and we didn't watch it though. But I was just like, that'd be a real fun movie to watch.
It's Jackie Chan's love letter to Spielberg.
Really?
He basically plays...
It has like an adventure
Indiana
thing
Jones.
to it.
Yeah, he's basically Indiana Jones. He collects artifacts from around the world.
Nice.
But the fight scenes are insane.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Also, famously, the movie that he almost died in because he cracked his skull falling out of a tree and lost the hearing in one ear. And I've talked about this story on the podcast where, when I had dinner with him that time, I felt the hole in his head. He's got a plastic plug in his head.
From that movie?
Yeah, it's from Arm of God.
How interesting. You felt his hole.
I felt his plug in his head, and it vibrated when he sings, which is weird. Things I've done in my life.
Did he keep your hand? Did you keep your hand on it so you just for the rest of the evening, and he started singing? You're like, oh, it's vibrating now, Jackie.
No, but he did ask me to shower so he could watch.
I bet he did.
He didn't.
He didn't.
And I'll hear nothing bad against Jackie Chan.
No, he doesn't watch young lads shower.
That's somebody else.
They're not juicy. Right, come on.
Okay, so anyway, she dies due to the gator. Howard,
They have sex now, don't they?
Howard walks up behind his wife and says, "Was that the one?" And she says, "You know I don't like blondes." And he's like, so he knows that there's one of them that she's got the hots for. But then, Maxine showers. She goes searching. Howard and his wife re-enter the house, and he says,
Howard does some re-entering.
He says 4 down. He does. He says 4 down, and she says, "Howard, tell me I'm special." He's like, "You're beautiful. You are. You're beautiful." And she shows her old boobs to him, and he says, "But my heart, I might not be able to take it, Pearl." And she says, "Come on." And then we get a scene which is terrifying, because we're all going to be old someday, but seeing 2 old people, seeing that old man's butt clench as he thrusts, and she's there going, "Oh."
I didn't pay much attention.
I did.
Of course you did. You had a right off time with this movie. And Rick, emotions all over the shop.
Oh, up and down. That's why I did the pleasure and pain bit in the old World of the Strange, because I was pleasure and pain
This
for
is
this
your pleasure.
episode. This is my pleasure.
Old man, clenched buttocks.
The worst bit about this is that while they're going at it OAP style on the bed, we realise that Maxine is under the bed.
Yeah.
And she's having to listen to all the and the crinkly and the bones creaking.
Oh, it'd be really slow and boring as well, wouldn't it?
All the sort of noises you'd hear. Oh,
As he
God.
goes, like, oh,
My heart! Oh! Anyway, she crawls out from under the bed as quietly as she can. And she runs out to the van. She finds RJ dead in front of the van. She goes back in the house. She finds Lorraine. She lets her out the cellar. Lorraine, stupidly, this is the only bit I didn't really like. She runs, she goes, "This is all your fault." And she runs off screaming. And she should have stuck with Maxine. I don't know why she ran away from her, but she runs off screaming. And of course, she gets shot.
it's
So
quite
that's
a good kill.
It's a good kill. She's done. And they drag her body back inside. And Howard's heart gives out on him because she does a death stutter, when you're sort of dead, but you go,
Yeah.
and it makes him jump back, and his heart gives out.
At least he got laid.
He did. Well, literally 10 minutes before he was dragging a dead body in his house, he was having a good old time with his wife. One last time. Yeah, fair enough. That's a good point. The old lady gives Maxine the keys to the van at gunpoint. So Maxine's got a gun here. And she says, "Give me those keys." She says, "You're a whore. I know what you are." She's like, I'm not a whore. I'm not like you. I'm a star. The whole world's going to know about me." But the gun is empty.
Midlife crisis script.
Oh. But the gun is empty. She can't shoot the old lady. But the old lady very slowly raises the shotgun. And Maxine has time to duck. Now, the old lady earlier was talking about, "I don't want to break my hip and fall." Well, this shotgun recoil is hilarious. It takes her back out through the door and into the garden outside, and she breaks her hip. So again, lots of foreshadowing. And she's lying on the floor with a broken hip. And Maxine shushes her and says, "Just stay there. I'm going to go." And then the old lady keeps on berating her as she's about to drive off. "You're a whore, you're a slut." She says, "All right, that's it." And she backs up. Great head smush. I'm a big fan of a head smush, Gav. We all have a good head smush, don't we?
Yeah.
And then she says to the old lady what the old lady said to her. She says, "Our secret. Shh." And then she drives off, does some coke. Again, the sun starts coming up, and we end on the TV, still playing the evangelist. And he talks about the big reveal. His daughter, Maxine, was taken away from him. She used to be in the church with him, and she was taken away by the porn industry. And that's who she was. She used to be a very religious girl when she was a young lady, and now she's not. And then we cut to the crime scene from the beginning. And the bodies are put in a van. And I love it how it ends with, "Sheriff, we found this camera." And he's like, "Oh, what do you think's on it?" And he says, Could be very interesting. Imagine taking that back to the police station. You've got loads of porn to go through. It's not going to give you any clues as to what's going on. You're just going to have loads of porn to watch.
Yeah. And that's the end of the film.
That's the end of the film.
It's fine in places. One other thing is, I don't care about any of the characters, so I don't care if they die. That's a problem I've got also. I'm not rooting for anybody. But the film's alright, it has some good moments here and there. That's what I think.
Did you enjoy it more the second time around?
I enjoyed it more reviewing it slightly here and there because I could look at some stuff in a bit more detail and a bit more clarity as such from a reviewer's eye, and appreciate some bits and bobs. And there's bits in it I did a few here and there, bits I'm like, that's a really good bit. But overall, I didn't feel anything new, and I didn't have any care for any characters.
So this was my first time watching it. I was really impressed. It wasn't like mind-blowing, the same as Axel F, which I talked about in the intro. It didn't blow my mind, but it ticked all the boxes, and I had a great time with it. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. You know, it's better than a lot of the stuff I've seen for years. And for a new film, and it's 2022 now, so for a newish film...
Beverly Hills Cop or Axel F or X?
Both of them, I'm saying.
Okay.
It didn't blow my mind, just like Axel F, but it still ticked all the boxes. It was like going back to a franchise. Do you know what I mean? And plus, it had a gator in it, which was new for me and great for me. And the porn angle was good. I thought the acting was great. And what really blew my mind was when I realised, thanks to the credits, that Mia Goth had played the old lady as well. I just did not know that, and I don't think many people did until the credits rolled on this, because they kept it a secret. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Mia Goth played multiple characters. Oh no, it wasn't her, but in Suspiria, which she was in, there was a lot of women playing different characters in that as well. So she's used to that kind of nutty professor type thing. So I really liked it. Then I watched the next day, I watched Pearl, which was good, but not as good. It's less Texas Chainsaw Massacre horror-y, more... The only way I can describe Pearl is, if you like the Joker, you're going to like Pearl. It's like a female Joker. It's a descent into madness.
Okay.
You find out how obviously she got to that level of mania, but it's all set in the 50s, where it's all about, you know, the Wizard of Oz and how women looked and dressed back then.
Would it be better to watch that first if you're new to the whole game? No. X? You have to watch it like that.
I'd prefer to watch it this way, because then you're like, okay, let's find out why Pearl gets like that, you know? And you find out about Howard going to the war, and you find out about the Gator, and you find out her family. And this one it's less slasher, it's even more psycho, and it's even more like the sequels to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it isn't as like, it's less of a horror film, more of a psychological thriller, but there is a lot of gore in it. But I would definitely say Pearl is worth a watch, and I will watch Maxine now based on this. So this has rejuvenated my what I think of Ty West. I like him now again. I don't know why I didn't really. I think The Innkeepers just put me off him, but I really liked it. But I really liked X. I did. I really liked it. 7 out of 10. I'm really glad. It's been on my list to watch for ages. I'm really behind on newish films. This is 2 years old now, so I'm glad Don suggested it so that we could talk about it. Yeah, I'm sorry that you don't like it. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Like, you do like it, you just don't.
No, I don't like it.
Socks off, you know.
No, I don't like it. It's got some bits which are alright, but I don't really like it. There's nothing new for me. So yeah.
Well, I had a blast with this, and I certainly had a blast with Wreck as well. Very intense films in different ways, and very horny, this film. They did a good job of making you
horny.
Making me horny, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'll never lie to our listeners. You know, there were times where I was like, well, this is oh, well done. I wasn't like,
I know, it didn't do that for me. Maybe my porn's too hardcore.
It was only the Gator that got me hard.
I guess.
Anytime a Gator's around, I'm like, hello.
Let's get out of here.
Well, hang on. Before we do then, let's just wrap up and say thanks to Don. Don, really enjoyed these two movies. Wreck, fucking great, as you know. I really loved X. Really glad to get to watch it. And definitely a thumbs up for me, but not from Gav for X, I'm afraid. But it'll be one I go back to at some point, especially when Maxine's out. What I'll probably do in a few years' time is do like a triple bill or something of them.
Look what the wax candles kind of done.
It's turned into a penis.
Isn't that hella funny?
That is so funny that we're talking about X. You guys can't see this. Gav, you're going to have to keep that and post that on the Facebook page. Or send me the picture because you're not on Facebook at the moment, and I'll upload that. It's almost like us talking about the porn industry made your candle melt into a penis shape. It's even got the shaft.
It's so weird.
That is weird. I'll post this up, guys, if you're interested in Gav's penis-shaped candle.
It's hilarious.
All right, let's have an outro.
Okay.
Let's take a break.
Bye-bye.
Put your penis candle away.
And we're back again.
We're back again to say goodbye.
Dan just blew my mind with something else he's going to tell us, but never got round to it.
Maybe I'll save that story for another podcast episode. Yeah, probably best. So yeah, that was episode 159. Okay, thanks, Gav. Gav's showing me more wax. Not from his ears, may I add. Yeah, that was episode 159, another patron's pick. It is time, however, to give me that crown back. Thank you, Don. You've been a legend for doing that, and your amazing blurbs and everything you wrote. Absolutely loved it. Love reading that, what you guys write for us to read. And really great picks. And keep them coming, guys, and patrons.
Yes.
But we must move on, Gav. And I know you're asking. What are you asking?
What's coming next, Daniel?
So we've already touched on this, but episode 160, they're here again. Episode 160, we'll be finishing up the original franchise of the Poltergeist movies. So we'll be doing Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, from 1986, and then the sad to watch now, really, Poltergeist 3, 1988.
Yeah.
Interesting. We can talk a bit more about the legacy, which we've talked about in the past, but all the stuff that goes with Poltergeist. We're never going to cover the remake, you'll all be pleased to know, because even Sam What's-His-Chops said that was a piece of shit.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell.
Great actor, love him. Have you ever seen Moon?
Yes. Very good.
So good, so good.
Sad.
It is sad, but brilliant. It's Cool Runnings is an incredible, not Cool Runnings, fucking hell, Silent Running. Have you ever seen Silent Running?
No.
With Mr. Rumsfeld, isn't it? It's great. It's set in space. He's got 3 robots called Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and it's just him and these 3 robots trying to restart a rainforest in a space station, and it's really sad and amazing.
Okay.
You should check it out.
Right.
Anyway, after episode 160, we'll be moving back to another director special because it's our 10th year of podcasting. So we're doing as many of these as we can, and we're going to have a twist in our tail for that one because it'll be an M. Night Shyamalan episode. And we'll be covering The Sixth Sense, I See Dead People, and Signs from 2002.
Swing away.
Swing away. So yeah, two great movies. Great director, in my opinion. We've already talked about The Happening on this episode. Yes, okay, he's had a few misses, but he's had mainly hits. So I'm really excited to talk about Shyamalan's career and review those 2 films.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's another patron pick. And we've got Kevin S. Fife lined up.
Back again.
And he's picked 2. God damn it, he's picked 2 giallo movies. 1973's Torso.
Oh, amazing. Whores meet Saws.
Directed by Sergio Martino, and 1982's. You're going to be excited for the next one because he's also picked an Argento, 1982.
Crystal
Tenebrae.
Tenebrae.
Probably, it's in my top 3 Argentos of all time. Definitely.
Can't wait.
Deep Red, Tenebrae, and Suspiria. And Tenebrae and Deep Red are interchangeable. They're both very good.
I like Crystal Plumage as well.
So yeah, Kevin's given us a couple of Giallos, so that's going to be a fucking exciting one as well.
That's super cool. And we
He
could
got
talk
in
about
early.
we could talk about Jellos as well.
He got in early with those as well. He was like, I already know what I want months ago. He said, this is what I want. And I was like, dude, I'm
Excellent.
happy.
Yeah, really good choice.
So yeah, so that's what we're doing next. A couple of Poltergeist movies, a couple of Shyamalan movies, and then a couple of Giallo movies. So
We
stay tuned for the next 3 episodes.
We haven't been to Italy with horror for a little while.
I do love the Giallos. Giallo's the kind of movie that I like to watch with you. You know what I mean? Back when we used to drink, when we had a glass of red wine,
Yeah.
sit there watching it with our leather gloves on, if we can.
And our knives and our heads. We chopped off
Knives
bodies.
on our heads. Just being really horrible to women, strangling them. We don't do that.
No.
So yeah, that's what's coming up. That was the episode. Just time really now to do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we can say our goodbyes and thank yous. So thank you again to Don for being our patron of the episode. We have been and always will be until we die the podcast on Haunted Hill. That sounded a bit morbid, didn't it? Dark. We're a proud member of Legion Podcast Network and have been for 10 years now. We're also under the Deadbolt Media umbrella. If you can find out more about Legion Podcast, if you go to legionpodcast.com, actually you'll be redirected to the Transistor site now because it all goes through that. So actually you need to change that, and I'll tell you what the actual web address is. It's still legionpodcast.com. That will still take you to the right place. So ignore what I've just said. It's all been updated. It took a while. It's transitioned, and we're happy now. It's all up and running again. You can email me and Gav, the podcast on Haunted Hill at outlook.com for more information. We're on Facebook. Just search for the podcast on Haunted Hill, where you can join our community of crazies who talk horror and cult films and pop culture and everything else. And so is Legion. Just find Legion Podcasts on Facebook. You can listen to us wherever you are listening to us right now, but we are on Apple, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Podcast Addict, Podbean, all the usual platforms. And we're on Instagram. It's the podcast on Haunted Hill Insta, all one word. That's just basically where I promote the episodes with a little collage of artwork for each one. I mentioned Deadbolt Media. That's Deadbolt Films is our production company. Deadboltfilms.com is the website. We have a YouTube channel, and an Instagram is Deadbolt Films. Yep. If you're interested to know more about our short films, our features, our comics, our other podcast, Gav, which is under the umbrella, which is called...
the High Strangeness Podcast,
which Gavin does with Sarah.
Yeah.
They delve into the dark and murderous world, and sometimes the sort of urban legendy world as well. It's fun.
Next episode,
on Cropsey, didn't you?
Yeah, next episode, things that wash up on beaches.
Yes.
Just randomly.
I think recently a huge bag of dildos washed up on a beach somewhere.
There's all sorts. There's bags of hands, severed hands, have been washed up on beaches, all sorts.
Amazing. Oh, there's that one boy that has been collecting Lego.
Massive Lego.
Yeah, huge crates of Lego got dropped in the ocean, and he's been collecting them for years.
Oh, okay.
And he's got thousands of pieces of Lego that keep washing up on his beach in the UK. Imagine that, a kid. Lego, yay!
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's the High Strangeness. And we are a Patreon member as well, which means if you want to, you can support us on Patreon for as little as £1 or $1 a month, or as much as you want. You can support the show, help us to keep going and growing and flowing and showing. We use the money to rent and buy films, excuse me, for the episodes, also to buy equipment, and also to sort of create merchandise and stuff. Because if you become a patron supporter, you get a t-shirt in one of 3 colours in a size of your choice sent to you wherever you are. You also get access to our entire back catalogue, which we drip feed every Friday exclusively to Patreon members, and we occasionally do the odd bonus content videos or shorter, very short episodes. We haven't done one for a while, probably due to do one. And you get to pick 2 films for us to cover as well. Indeed. Which is awesome. Every 3 episodes is a patron's pick. And And when we get to the end of the list, we start all over again. So you'll get multiple goes if you stick with us for a few years, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. And as always, I will thank all of the patrons by name, as it is courtesy to do. Excuse me. So thank you very much to Dante, to, of course, Don Collier, for your fantastic picks for this episode. Also to Matthew Godley, to Jamie Jenkins, Kevin S. Fife, Sarah Kay, Rachel, RJ McCready, and Lex Boo. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much. Massively appreciate it. It's just lovely that you like to listen to us to natter on about Dan's former sex life.
Yes, former. That sounded really bad. I still have a sex life. Just the days before marriage and all that. Anyway, let's move on. Thanks to all our patrons. Thanks to all our supporters, listeners, people that even just like the Facebook page, share, and all the other shit that you do. If you're a friend for life. Like Chucky says, friends to the end.
Yeah, then he kills them though, so we won't do that.
We're not going to do that. Don't worry about that. And that's it, really. So, fucking hell. I'm horny.
Wow.
Anyway, listen, it's a good night from Jennifer's dog Max. It's got rabies and it's going to come back to the Barcelona apartment and kill us all.
It's a good night from an alligator.
It's a good night from a man in a pair of pants wandering around the stables, wondering why he's just got tetanus in his foot.
And it's a good night from Juicy.
Don't. And it's a good night from me watching Gav in the shower saying, go on, you and your friend take a shower.
Oh, and it's a good night from you. Good night.
And it's a good night from Pearl. Good night, everybody. Take care and listen. If an old man asks you to go down in his cellar to find a flashlight, please don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Going to be all sorts down there, more than just flashlights. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the podcast on Haunted Hill. We will be back again real soon.